So uncivilized.
There we go. We're here. I got to kind of work with the computer because it doesn't want to work with me. Anyway, greetings. Welcome to Thursday night. You know what it is. Uncivilized Scoundrels. We talk all things Star Wars. Of course, we're going to be talking about both episodes 10 and 11 of Andor. The Escape and what we got this a couple days ago. This show is just picking up and just running with it. It's incredible. I mean, I can't say it enough, but we're going to jump into it. Also, we're going to jump into some more news. News of Star Wars picking up a brand new director. We're going to discuss that slightly. And how do we feel about that? I mean, Star Wars just, throwing too many eggs in one basket and, not really focusing in on what we want or, what they should be focusing on, which is creating the content and less announcements. But we'll slide into that and then we'll jump into Andor. But I can't do that without this amazing panel that we actually have each and every week. Do want to say before we bring him on, Mario will be here shortly. He's getting a bite to eat. So he'll be in a little bit later. But hey, let's just jump in. What's going on with you people? How y'all doing?
What's good? What's good?
What's good,
Evening,
man?
everybody.
Greetings. Amazing. We got CC3PO back in the building. So she is back. How are you?
I'm good. I know it feels like it, but I had a vacation. I remember I went to a wedding. My friend was getting married, and then we had Black Panther come out last week. So I'm all caught up with Andor, but I'm not caught up with you guys. So I'm glad to be remedying that for now.
Okay. Cool.
Absolutely.
A lot to talk
Thank
about.
you for
Yeah.
being here. A lot to talk about. So definitely thank you for being here. How are you? How was your week? Going into the weekend now. It's Friday finally. I love Fridays, hate Mondays, but it is what it is.
The week was pretty good, and it's gotten significantly colder here in New York. And I know winter is coming. My goodness, it's almost December. What am I saying? Of course it's going to be cold, but I'm okay. Next week is Thanksgiving. Can you believe it? I'm just glad to be here talking about Star Wars.
Yeah. I wish like literally I mean, Wednesday is going to be pretty good because it'll be light for work and, I can kind of lay back and enjoy Andor a bit. But I just wish we got more than one day off for Thanksgiving, just one day away, stuff like that. I didn't have to deal with so many people, stuff like that. So it is what it is. But, it's fun. Vinny, what's going on with you, bro?
To echo Rita's sentiments, it's cold as fuck outside, bro. I work outside, and oh my god, last week it was 70, and we were having this Indian summer, and then this week it's like 25, 28, 32, and I'm in summer. I love the heat. I'll take the heat. I'll take too hot over kind of cold any day. So,
See,
man. Other than that, we've had a hell of a week between these last two like insanely amazing episodes of Andor with Black Panther right in the middle. So definitely a fun ass time for geek fans. So Marvel killing it, Star Wars killing it, and just really exciting because Andor's just been phenomenal, just really special time for the franchise because they're trying something very different, and it's I'm loving it. I'm loving what they're doing, so I can't wait to dive in and talk about it. And we had off last week because of Black Panther, so I'm looking forward to catch up with everybody and dive in and hear everybody's thoughts. So
yeah, me too.
Glad to be here.
I'm gonna ask a very interesting question before we dive into the show. Once we get to the show, I'm gonna ask a question because I'm just wondering some things. Like, I want to get your thoughts on it, but we'll, I'll ask when we get to that point. But let me address the chat real quick. We got William Owens in the building. We got Lawson in the
Wait,
building.
give me that 90, bro. I'll take it.
Yes, we'll take it.
He said it's like, yeah, 90. Y'all can
Nah,
see the
it's
thing is,
humid up here. It's humid up here. That's what everybody always says.
yeah, right. Let me see here. We got Renz Talentino in the building. We got Peyton 23. Well, let's see who else we got. Tobar is in the building. My man Uncle Keith is here.
I'm on Tobar.
Renz Talentino the Great. We got Evo in the building.
Rents.
We got OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars in the building. Thank you for being here. We got Spice in the building, Spice Runner. And we got Man What in the building. Thank you for being here. Also, DeGuito is in the building. So yes, we got quite a few people in here. So yes, we're going to basically talk about a few things. Before we actually dive in real quick, I want to bring something up just to, kind of let people know where we're at and what's going on this month. Again, we are continuing on with the Thanksgiving initiative. This is all proceeds, super chats, everything that we actually get goes towards feeding the homeless and actually putting food, and people who are in needs in their mouths and making sure that they are comfortable for the Thanksgiving and holiday season. So all proceeds are going to be donated towards a charity. We want to make sure that, pretty much they get what they need as far as, food, other items, personables, everything. Coats. Well, I'm going to be doing a coat drive here as well. So thank you very much for your donations. All donations. It doesn't have to be a large donation, $1, $2, whatever. Those super chats will be accounted for, and they will actually be given to and donated to make sure that people have food and things to eat. This is what we're here for. And again, we want to pass on what we have learned, as Yoda would say. So definitely, I do want to do that. So again, thanks everybody for being here. We're going to dive into a few topics. One off the top here, though. One off the top. Again, this one, is going to be greeted with not controversy, but just skepticism, I guess, because we're hearing too much. I think we're hearing way, way, way too much. I want them, like Vinny was saying earlier when we were backstage, I want them to just pop up and say, hey, we got a Star Wars movie dropping. Hey, we got a trailer for it. Here it is. Boom. Now, I know you don't watch trailers, but at least the implication from the trailer was to let me know that there's something that's already made and they have it out and they're ready to go with it. Don't just say we got a director. Don't just say that we basically have writers on board and stuff like that. And it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Come on. They've been doing this now for a few years. Just say, look, we're just taking time off to get shit right. Just say that and I can live with that. You know what I mean? Don't do too much. But we got an announcement, earlier this week, I believe, that Sean Levy from Stranger Things, director, is going to be directing a Star Wars film. When is it slated to come out? Probably, I don't know. It is what it is.
It's so ridiculous.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like when it's supposed to drop, I guess we'll basically find out. But it's just like, okay, real quick, I got a $5 super chat by Malika Mabane. May the force be with you all. Thank you so much for that, man. We definitely appreciate that. But yeah, I'm gonna start with you first, CC. You hear news like this, and we've heard news like this continuously. We always hear that somebody's directing this, somebody's doing that, somebody's doing this, and then later on, for some reasons, there's scheduling conflicts, or they didn't agree with the vision, or however you want to actually see it. What do you think? Like, what's your thoughts on this?
I think that I've been just incredibly disappointed when they make these announcements so early on, and then it ends up getting canceled. Like the project gets canceled, or people decide that it's not in their purview to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about it briefly a little bit before we went on. That I really liked Game of Thrones and was really disappointed when those two showrunners their project fell through. And there's the conspiracy theories that maybe Game of Thrones the last season would have been a little better had they not been focused on Star Wars. But I also think that maybe we put a lot of emphasis on when they announce projects like this because it's Star Wars and because they do the same thing with Marvel, I feel. I think other studios will announce projects really early on like this, but we just don't hear about it very often. So it's true. I think I haven't watched it, but we're talking briefly about the Studio Ghibli short.
Yeah.
They announced it the same day it came out. How refreshing. What a
Mhm.
huge change of pace.
Mhm.
Uh, and even, but part of me wants to ask you guys too, like, okay, we obviously think that they're announcing stuff like this maybe a little too early, before they even have a plan in place. But
Mhm.
how do you also feel about casting news?
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
just got everyone who's going to be in the Acolyte. Would you prefer to not hear anything at all until closer to when we actually have a trailer in place?
I mean, the thing is, when I hear stuff like that, at least I know it's more validated and that they're moving forward. At least I know that there's a script ready. You know, they have the writers, they have the directors, they have the production team. They're basically already doing pre-production. At least by then we know, because normally when we get the actors announcements, they're already in pre or post production. You know what I mean? On pre-production, they're already ready to go forward with the actual show, or they're in the middle of it. You know, so at least I know something is being done at that particular point. You know, but when you just announce a director, then we've heard it's a track record that Star Wars has. Don't want to blame this on Kathleen Kennedy, but at the same time, I mean, you are head of that division, so stop announcing shit. You know what I mean? Just don't say a word. Just wait until it's time, and just move forward with it. I mean, it's just way too many announcements. Real quick, before we move on, CC3BO with the $10 super chat. Happy Life Day, because today was Life Day, so definitely. I've seen a whole bunch of Chewy or Wookiee memes going around too. It was very dope. So definitely happy Life Day. And CC, thank you very much for that. Um, yeah, but yeah, I mean, good. I like that question, CC, because it is, you know, that does make you think, like when we get those announcements versus the announcements of a director. It's like I think that when we get the announcements of a cast, then we feel more comfortable because they already have things moving forward. But also we heard the same thing about Blade, and then what would happen? Look what happened. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just like a catch-22 all the time. We just never really know. um what's your thoughts about it?
Um, well, first of all, I don't think he would be an ideal director for any Star Wars film. So I did put that out there. But I'm sure he's very talented, but I just don't think that he's the right fit. The other thing that I was going to say is that it seems like they want to just detract away from whatever things or press that they feel was bad regarding Disney and Star Wars. So they're going to keep releasing as many reports and news items because I guess they feel that that's, a way for them to get more publicity, but also just away from negative comments or negative things that are being said. It's hard to say something negative about an announcement when there isn't anything to judge on it. So, it's like, oh, great, that's wonderful. Now they have their bit of news information for right now. But I think we all know that, there's been so many announcements that they've made and nothing has happened. Things that plans do fall through, even for things that look like they're going to happen. So it is early days in these developments. And I guess maybe contractually, once they start to speak to someone, it might be in their contracts that it has to be announced. Maybe they spoke to 20 directors, but going forward, I guess maybe they have to announce that they are in talks with somebody. So I don't know whether the studio is trying to say they're actually going to work with this person because they don't seem to have a very good track record with it. So that's what I think about it. I think that they contractually have to give these announcements to show that they're at least working on something or collaborating with someone to make it seem like they're doing something. But for the most part, I don't know if we look at the percentage of employees that they've tried to hire, it's no different from any other entertainment business. They go through a lot of people. It could be up to 50 different directors that
Yeah.
they would consider just for one project. And perhaps the mistake is that they're not going for studios. Like when they went with Studio Ghibli, and you guys were talking about just a little bit earlier, for the short, for the Grogu short, none of us batted an eye at that because we already know what to expect from Studio Ghibli. And so maybe this is their problem, is focusing on individuals versus, an actual studio to collaborate with.
Yeah, that's true. I was just watching. DeGuido said something interesting as well. He said, "I feel much better if they had a movie title when they announce." So yeah, I mean, again, that's interesting as well. Like, I mean, it's now you said something interesting. You said you don't feel as though he's the right fit for a Star Wars film.
That's correct.
And what makes you feel that way? Like, if you can elaborate on that a little bit.
I don't think that he's going to be able to capture the feel from a script and make it feel like it's a Star Wars style film, which is
Okay.
fine. He doesn't have to, but I don't think it's going to be like the Star Wars we know. So I don't think he would be the right fit.
Bro,
Okay.
it's her nice way of saying he's going to be another Taika, because he does Deadpool 3, Free Guy. It's going to
Yeah.
be along the his niche is, the witty, irreverent, like
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds type of flicks. I don't know if that's what we're looking for with Star Wars right now.
Now,
When we're-
I'm sorry, I'm pretty ignorant to his work. He worked on Stranger Things. Was it all
Yeah.
seasons of Stranger Things?
I think he was a producer on that, right?
Okay.
I don't think I don't know how many episodes he directed, but I know he directed Free Guy and he's directing Deadpool 3 right now.
Okay.
I mean, I really like Stranger Things, and at least it doesn't have the slapstick humor of
Yeah.
Deadpool, of
Yeah.
Freeman, but maybe he's able to capture the kind of nostalgia that we appreciate with Star Wars. Like, I think what they've been doing with Andor, how they've kept like some of the 70s and 80s hairstyles and that kind of retro feel, and like
Yeah.
just the props and the set design of what they've done. I think at least that's something that, now it could be style over substance if he manages to nail the look of the universe and make it look like it's from Star Wars, but doesn't nail everything else as far as the feel with the characters and the script and everything else. But that makes me a little hopeful, just because I do love the 80s nostalgia of
Stranger Things. That's where I'm pulling from, because I really love Stranger Things and I love the direction. I mean, this last season was phenomenal. So
it's incredible. He
Yeah,
directed 10 episodes of it over the past 4 seasons, but I'm with everybody else. It's like this isn't even have a script or like there's no. This is the very first step. So when it comes to like casting announcements, typically for the most part, except in the certain circumstances, usually if they bring an actor on, they send him a script. So like there's at least something to sell the actors. So if there's a cast already, that they have a plan in place, and then if it falls through, it falls through. But telling us like, hey, this guy is sent on to be a director is like one of the very first steps. And there's been so many first steps that went nowhere in over the past few years with Star Wars that it's a lot of like don't tell me, show me. And it's really other studios doing it, like you guys said, is maybe doesn't get as much attention, so we're not as critical of it. But Star Wars seems to like either directly or indirectly make sure that it's known all the moves that they make. And I feel like it's some of the stuff even that they don't officially release, they make sure that they indirectly release. They make sure that like it gets out one way or the other. If they have a magazine reported, or a dirt, like a blogger reported, or have the like let the director mention it in an interview, where if it was supposed to be a secret, he wouldn't have even mentioned it. So stuff like that, they make sure that it gets out and that we know about it. And it almost feels like, hey guys, don't worry, like you'll get a movie one day. Like Stranger Things is cool, right? So sit tight, here we come. Like it's very condescending. It's like it's a little bit of an insult to our intelligence that we feel like they have to. It's like when you're not going to take your kid to the amusement park, but you just keep saying we'll see instead of no. Like like when you're a teenager, you start to realize we'll see means no. And
No.
we're not dumb. We know that this boy has cried wolf many times. And like you said, Leo, just come out and say, yo, we're trying to get our shit together. TV is figured out. We've got that good. And for whatever reason, we're able to like control and have some kind of, like success there that we haven't had on film. And we're scared to blow it on film because there's so much more negative feedback. Like Book of Boba Fett was not good, but the hate that it got was like very short flash in the pan, and then it was over. But the hate that Last Jedi got is like, we'll live on for 100 years, it feels like. You know what I mean? and they don't want that. So they don't want to mess up at that level. So it's like they're scared. So
Yeah.
instead of just saying we're going to take time to figure out what we want to do next before we do anything, it's every 6 months there's some announcement for a possible movie, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just, you don't have to go on Facebook and tell somebody you went on a first date.
Yeah. True.
Well, but will we get more characters like K2SO if he's more of a comedy person? Somebody mentioned the Witches of Dathomir. Is it going to be more like the Witches of Eastwick? Like what are we thinking? You know,
But he's not. But see, that's the thing, though. Levy's not all just comedy, because he's done some serious subject matter films. Like he's touched, like some of the things that he's touched have been serious. I think he's just very diverse. He leans more towards the personality of the person he's working with, and I think that he exploited that with, Daredevil, Ryan Reynolds. So he exploited that with him.
Deadpool.
He, in Deadpool. So basically, that, and even with Stranger Things, he had a bunch of kids, like, and then, exploring the relationships between these particular kids. So not all of it was humor. And I think that basically within that world, the thing is, and this is going to sound like not really crazy, but I would much prefer having him direct a Star Wars film than Taika Waititi. After what I saw with Thor and Love and Thunder, I don't trust him directing anything within that universe. I mean, mind you, he already has with The Mandalorian, but they reeled him in. They gave him free range in Marvel to do whatever he wanted to do, and I think that failed horribly. So I would much rather have this guy than Taika. I'm sorry, Taika just he ruined my perception of life when it came to Thor. Like literally, like I'd never want to see another Thor film ever again if he's attached to it. And if Chris Hemsworth doesn't, what'd you say?
I said, tell us how you really feel.
Exactly, that's just the way I feel. But I mean, it's crazy. So I don't know. We'll see. Mario, what do you feel about this? What do you feel about Sean Levy? Producer of Stranger Things and directing films like that, 3 and stuff like that. What do you think about him coming on board to direct the Star Wars, man? And do you think it's just like, it's just too much?
I think it's too soon to announce anything going on the big screen right now, man. Considering they have a hard time getting their own stuff together, in my opinion, over there at Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
As far as like all the entertainment and another thing, what's going on right now behind the scenes, I don't think this will be probably shelved sometime soon, considering what Bob Chapek is doing right now with the company. He's cutting things left and right now.
Yeah,
from
I heard
all
that,
the studios, from all branches, everywhere from within the company, man. So don't be surprised to hear this actually delayed, or we see like the director coming out saying, we had a difference of opinion or something like that.
Yep.
Creative differences.
Again,
that's always a spiel,
creative
isn't it?
differences or schedule conflicts. Yeah.
But the thing is that, look, the last time we had a concern was when we got reports on the Solo film, because that was with Doc, and I have the names on the tip of my tongue right now. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank.
Ron Howard finished it, but
Ron Howard finished it, but I'm talking about the directors before him. Because they went out. Yeah, because they went out, right? It was from
what was it? Directors of like the ones who did Into the Spider-Verse. I forget their names.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Yeah,
because they were working on the film, and we got reports about, hey, these guys are not treating the whole thing seriously. Yeah. But then when they left, they went and did Spider-Verse, which was like one of the best movies of that year that came out.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Which is insane to think about what they could have done with Star Wars too. There may have been signs there of like, silly comedy, not taking it seriously. But thanks, OG fan, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. And what they did with Spider-Verse was phenomenal. So, but I understand your concern about Taika, I really do, because he's proven that, but at the same time, he's also proven that he could do something more seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Jojo Rabbit. That's another thing.
And the thing is, I love Jojo Rabbit, bro. I love that film. It hit on all beats, but it's like, what the fuck did he do with Thor?
But the thing is that when it's under a big studio like Lucasfilm, right? Yeah. They tend to put their business. They tend to get in the way of the director's vision, right? And they're not
Lord
always.
And Miller,
yeah, exactly. The studio heads get involved, and sometimes the product isn't the best. We saw what happened with the sequels, how that suffered, and I just think it's too soon to bring anything back to the big screen right now.
Yeah.
Like I think you mentioned earlier about, hey, just give us an announcement when you guys have a title, when you guys actually have a production in progress right now, when everything is actually in motion. That's when they should do it instead of, because it happens a lot to where we start losing directors, we start losing writers and producers and everything. We just see the production fall apart before production actually starts. So just I think they should just get everything in motion prior
First,
to making any kind of announcements.
Yeah, get that done first before you make an announcement, because right now you're making fools of yourself. It's just way too much going on right now. People, it's like it's becoming a running joke. Like when people say, "Okay, now everybody's like, okay, whatever," and then it just puts more
predicting
heat.
it.
And it puts more heat on Kathleen Kennedy's back, like literally, because that's the first person that everybody blames. Like it's Kathleen Kennedy, because that's the face. She's the face of the universe. Like nobody's talking about what is his name, John Favreau and Dave Filoni. Nobody's talking about them when it comes to stuff like that. It's always targeted at her. You know what I mean? They're sitting back. You know what I mean? They're handling the television series and the division in that particular world. So it's just like, yo, like, come on, man. Like, look, you got a good thing going with television right now. Keep everything on the back, not on the back burner, but everything that's going on in the cinematic universe. Just tighten that up first before you make announcements, before you actually, because they even, like Kevin Feige, he's doing a Star Wars film, but they're talking about with him and his touch on, you won't see it until 2026. Like, literally. That's how far out he is. You know what I mean? So it's come on, man. Just stay quiet. We got who is this? We got once it comes up, we got Superhero Displays with the $4.49 super chat. I agree, announcements happen with other studios, but only new Lucasfilms do this BS of announcing an announcement to announcements
to the announcement.
Exactly. That's the truth. That is the truth. Like, it's too many damn announcements. Just slow up. You know what I mean? Focus on your television series and like the streaming
process. The thing is they're all under Disney, and they don't let Marvel do that shit. It's not like it's not like you ever hear MCU be like, all right, we just signed on Sam Raimi for an undisclosed project in 2029. They don't do that shit.
Because Kevin Feige ain't allowing that, man. They don't need to.
No.
It's like, come on, man.
Also,
it's like,
think about what
it's like the pre-trailer to the pre-trailer to the actual trailer.
Yeah,
you guys ever see that these days?
That's also something that is backwards, because it's like with Marvel, they know, like, okay, the property is first. It's most important. And then you're going to find a director who fits. The way they're doing it is like, hey, guys, we got Sean Levy. Nobody gives a damn about, like, the talent that you bring in, more so than, hey, guys, we're doing Knights of the Old Republic. And then see, who are they going to get to direct it? Like, they're putting creators over their IP. That's a mistake.
Yep. It is, bro. Like, again, it's like I'm just gonna say, Lucasfilm.
That's not putting asses in the seats. No one's coming to see these. No one's coming to see like the directors. No one went to see The Last Jedi because they loved Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
Or no one went to see Force Awakens because they couldn't wait to see what J.J. Abrams was going to do. They wanted to see Star Wars.
But if we get Scorsese in here, then hey, that might be saying something.
He as much hate as he has for any IP, he's crazy. He ain't really doing. Yeah, he's like, nah, I'm cool. You know what I mean? Which I'm like, yo, if you would have got Steven Spielberg in there, like, I would have been happy about that. You know what I mean? It's a direction. Absolutely, come on, let's go. But I don't know. We'll definitely see. And Gilroy working on
different.
Andor,
like
crazy.
But Gilroy wasn't selling Andor. He was a part of it. And now a lot of people are realizing that Gilroy is amazing. But I think the average person on the street has heard of Rogue One and Andor, but the average person on the street didn't know who Tony Gilroy was until now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Gilroy gained confidence. He gained the confidence with Rogue One. So people knew that if he's touching a property and things that he's been involved with, he's already proven himself. Him and his brother's a writer. Like, he has like, an editing team. Like his other brother's an editor. So like, it's like, damn, they keeping it all in the family, but they're doing such a great job because it's cohesive between three of them. So again, there's already a point proven with them. So
it's not to say that big names aren't important for some of these projects. It's just that their perception that that's what people want to hear, as opposed to what the project actually is. Like, as if that's important after the fact. Like, I can't wait to see who they're going to have direct it. And then, you could put them on whatever. No, we want to see what Star Wars stuff is getting made, and then we could talk about like who's directing it, who's in it, who's in charge of it. It's if they told you, they're pretending like that's what's more important. So these announcements of directors and stuff aren't the story. That's not what people want to hear. We want to hear what they're working on, not who's working on it.
Yeah. Well, again, moving on from this one. Again, I mean, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I am excited about Acolytes. I am excited about Skeleton Crew, but that's streaming versus cinematic universe. So I already got that in order. So again, I just wish they would pull that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see basically how it works, but it is what it is. Somebody said Spielberg, Dr. Afra. Hey, I would see that. That would be incredible. That would definitely be incredible.
With the Indiana Jones vibes, for sure, I think he'd kill it.
Which I think we're going to get an Indiana Jones trailer tomorrow. I believe we are. I think we are. We'll see. Anyway, yeah. I didn't want to say that.
I hope it's good.
I had to. Yeah, Vinny's not going to watch it. Indiana Vinny. But anyway, let's jump in again.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So last week we didn't talk about. You say Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I caught it. It took me a second. I was like, that's what he said, isn't it? Yeah, I seen that smirk, and I was like, yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones, bro.
Oh, I can see a meme coming tonight. You should have never put that in my thoughts, bro. It's going to be a meme tonight. I cannot wait to get off this show.
You heard it here first, y'all.
We got my daughter in the building, baby. Thank you. She said, stop it in to say hi before bed. Thank you so much, baby. It's my daughter coming through as always. But yeah, so we didn't get a chance to talk about, y'all just reminded me because I thought I was just so in the clouds and I thought that we had a chance to talk about last week's episode, but we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it. So we're going to talk about it this week. And man, like, wow. That was an impactful episode. Like it really, really, really was. I mean, if it had concentration camp written all over it, like literally, just we got a chance to see the L's and the evil, how evil the Empire really is, and I'm so glad we did, because I mean, we've seen is like twirling mustaches and voices and stuff like that, but we got to see the depths of.
Well, I mean, they blow up your planet, dude. If you fuck with them, man. I mean, how you can't get much more evil than that, can you? I mean,
yeah, shit. But I want to. You know what?
Alderaan. Jesus, like
I know, right?
You know what? You know what, Mario? I want to see a typhoon. No, I want to see an Imperial ship land on the planet. Somebody get off and just with a megaphone and be like, "We are going to blow up your fucking planet," and then just leave. I want to see something like that. If we see that, then that's ruthless. I want to see something like that. So anyway, but last week's episode was incredible. Again, the stakes were high. It had me on the edge of my seat. It's like you didn't know what was going to happen the whole way through, and how the cinematography and just like the panning from scene to scene, and just like man. But you know what? It also showed me that literally Andor has been raised without fear. Like he really, it's just like for some reason he's driven by like not just like his passion for trying to get certain things done. I think the motive in the back of his mind is still trying to figure out where his sister is, trying to find his place, trying to get away. But at the same time, he has zero fear and zero F's to give for the Empire. But at the same time, I think we don't see that until this, last yesterday's episode. But the week before, it was like, wow, Andy Serkis, man. Like,
I think he is afraid of the Empire, but I think it's also like he said it in last week's episode, like, I'd rather die than give them what they want. So I think he's resigned himself to, like, if my options are be fearful of the Empire and live this shitty life, then I'm going out with a bang. Because I think he wouldn't be a decent rebel if he was just completely fearless. Like, he'd only be the guy they send on suicide missions. Like, I don't think that's accurate. But I think this last week's episode so far was probably like my favorite of the season so far. With one episode to go.
It was.
And what a year Andy Serkis is having. You know, he was in Batman earlier this year. You know, as I guess in a smaller role, not one of the major roles, I would
Alfred,
say.
yeah.
And you know, he had some very poignant parts, but who would have guessed that he'd come back with a performance like this, which at first seemed like a small role, but became the most important role for Andor and practically for all 5,000 of those prisoners in there, because it wasn't going to work unless he cooperated with Andor. And he just had so much passion and incredible sensitivity. And, you know, he was holding back tears when Olaf had died, and just on the floor in this middle of this prison where pretty much so much of the hope was lost. And then hearing him scream, "We're never getting out," like this, it's just, honestly, he's really having a fantastic time on the show and has brought the whole thing to life for everybody. You know, my biggest question is, did he make it off of that platform? I'm wondering what's happened to him, because he's the one character we don't know very much about. As much as I love Mon Mothma, as much as I love all these other characters, Luthen too, you know, Kino is right. Kino is his name. He's been such an inspiration, but the one that I'm wondering the most about right now.
Yeah, no body, right? No body, no death. We'll see. Although I don't know how anyone could have not jumped, but not got pushed off with thousands of people running for the bridge, you know, for the bridge to jump off. And then even that drop had to have been, you know, 80 feet at least. So that, you know, not many people probably even survived, you know, the dive into the water, whether they could swim or not. But what an amazing episode. I mean, it was one of the greatest cliffhanger setups of all time with that Never More Than 12. And then the whole episode was just an amazing, you know, prison break episode that was just so tense, and just the music in it, and at times lack of music. It was just brilliantly shot, brilliantly executed. The pacing was phenomenal. And, you know, his speech, jumping on the mic and giving the inspiration for all those people to, you know, to make the decision to possibly get killed trying to break out, which, you know, was, you know, not easy to sway people to do when they're thinking they might get to go home and then having to realize that they ain't going nowhere. Very, very heavy stuff. And it matters. There's so much of this that seems just like inconsequential, but when you pull back the camera, like, it matters to so many other aspects. Like, you have Andor, like Cece said, talking about, I'd rather, you know, die trying to take them down than to give them what they want. And that's foreshadowing, because that's literally what winds up happening to him. And
spoilers, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you haven't seen Rogue One, it's his channel now. But yeah, like, that was so crazy, and it just, again, it drives home why so many people will wind up joining the rebellion, and why eventually this world where it's just like, nah, keep your head down, like, it's tough, but we have peace. So, like, you know, don't rock the boat. To end of Return of Jedi, you show hundreds of planets celebrating that the Death Star was blown up. It's like, you got to get there somehow, and it's because of the word getting out of places like this and actions like this that the Empire is capable of, that people weren't seeing. It's kind of like, you know, in communist countries where you're not allowed to talk to the media or say anything negative, like, where people don't really realize how bad they have it, you know, because they're not even allowed to bitch about their government. That's like, you know, so there's so much symbolism in this show that's just brilliant. And at times it's like a bit on the nose, but many ways it's very subtle. But you know, politics aside, the acting and the action is just, it's fucking stellar. Like, that episode last week was just incredible.
Yeah, and the thing about it, that, you know, stuck out is the simple fact that, you know, it took, you know, Olaf dying, you know, for, you know, for him to realize that, again, like, first of all, Olaf's death, you know, gave him a bit more information than what he had. You know, number one, it was someone that he, you know, admired, a friend. But then finding out that, you know, pretty much everybody on platform 2, I think they said, or, you know, that they died because information had leaked, and they just put them in one platform and killed them all. So that basically no one escapes this arena. They paint a perfectly good picture, but they're not allowing you to leave. You know, again, like, it was a transition from him, and you can see the emotions the whole way through because he was a believer. He believed, that there was a chance, that it was a chance that people can get out. You just buy your time if you play your cards right. And it just took something like that happening for him to really wake up. You know what I mean?
And that's why it had to be him, because if you hear that Kino's tapped out, then we're fucked.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, Andor trying to keep Kino together at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's the truth. Like he's trying to keep, not, Kino, again, Kino's his leverage because he knows everybody will listen to Kino. You know what I mean? At that point. So keeping Kino together, it just kind of makes, things a bit either. Amar, you saw last week's episode, right?
Oh yeah. It was amazing, dude.
Yeah,
this was I actually loved it, man. It was fantastic. Yeah, like you guys said, I mean, I don't know, you're worried about what's going to happen to, or actually, we never saw the body. I mean, crazy conspiracy theory. What if this is actually the beginnings of Snoke? I mean, he was the voice,
they grab him.
What if they just grab him and they just, I don't know,
they
torture him, whatever like that.
Yeah, they put him in some chamber and fucking, experiment on him. give him some fly ass robes.
Right?
there you go.
Yeah, there you go, man. So that's there's Snoke. You guys heard it here first, man. There's Snoke right there in the making. Yep. Now you know what happened. But no, it was. I know, right? You get the origin story here in Andor. No, it was great, man.
It would be so great if they took Snoke and made it an anagram, and like his name was Kanos or something like that, and then just did the Tom Riddle Voldemort thing, and they just switched his letters around.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a fantastic episode, man. I just love seeing Andor's like his determination in his spirit. Like what CC said, man. I just want to, I'd rather die fighting than give them what they want. I mean, you see that determination, and how he ends up just basically taking over and just takes lead and inspires Snoke to rally up the troops and everybody else, to get going. And yeah, but it was crazy just to see them rise up, the Empire freaking out, and yeah, just them getting out of that hell that they were in. Everything you guys mentioned was just pretty much my thoughts exactly.
It was,
but yeah, it was an incredible episode at the end of the day.
Yeah, it had me on the edge of my seat, bro. I was just like, what's going to happen? It was funny though, because he's standing there and he's like, Kino, let's go. And Kino's like, I can't swim. And like, they're having this like short exchange, and you just see somebody like, come on, bro. And just push him off.
Yo, you just see him.
Yo, that's it. That was it. Like he just, it was like, he said, you heard him, can't swim. Let's go. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, like, I was like, wow, like literally. You know what I mean? With no chance. So again, you didn't see a body, you didn't see him die, but it's just like, the end result. And we talked about this before. Like, I just felt as though he would be that person to sacrifice himself. You know what I mean? At the sake of just letting people go, but you never know. Like, who knows? We might end up seeing. We might even see him next episode. You don't know. We don't know. But yeah. So we got that, and then, oh man, I feel like the person I feel for it right now so much, even going into like this next episode, but the person who I've actually been feeling, a lot for the most, because she's in the thick of things, is Mon Mothma. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, her too.
Who are you talking about?
I was thinking of
I thought you were gonna say Bix, because they
not
Bix. I was thinking Bix too. Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say Bix.
Well, I do it, bro. Like regardless of what she did, I still feel like, damn, like she's suffering, bro. Like she is really suffering, which we got a chance to see in this episode. But I'm talking about Mon Mothma, because she's forced to make a decision. And the thing is, it's like when we see stuff like this, like where your daughter is basically the tool utilized to whether or not your decision is based on whether or not you allow your daughter to pursue this arranged marriage type of situation. And he's playing on that. And he's just as ruthless as they said he was before he arrived. And it's like she's faced with that. But now, based off of this past episode, it's like she has to make a decision. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? I mean, especially when you think about like just the tone of an arranged marriage in this day and age, like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that is like, it still happens. Like it still happens in certain cultures like now. that there are arranged marriages all around the world, but just like to see it in this, it's like, wow, like this is what we're going through for real. Game of Thrones in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is something to think about. And of course, I'm guessing what's going to happen is that she'll maybe get the money from him somehow, but it'll be too late. People will offer her the money because of this big heist, right? So there's money, there's cash there, but by the time the cash could get to her, she's already made this deal with this man. And I don't think he's going to leave her alone. I think she's stuck with this guy. He's a social climber and he wants the best for his kid. And who can blame him? You know, going up the ranks is the hardest thing to buy, but he'll get legitimacy with Mon Mothma, but she's going to hate every minute of it.
Yeah, definitely she is. She's going to hate it all. Which again, like, but what, as we see, you know, this past episode, what choices she made, what does she have? Many seeing this and seeing, do you think like, let me ask you a question, V, like from this episode, like, you know, and this the past episode, do you think like we're seeing like almost an unstable version of her, like where she's just emotionally just exhausted right now, bro?
Yeah, I think the past couple episodes actually have set up the weight of her solitude is starting to, you know, crush her. And it's going to be really interesting to see how she transitions from the pressure she's under now to leading the rebellion without and how much she'll lose on the way, right? It's like it's really highly doubtful she's going to go from here to where, you know, she winds up unscathed. And I do have a feeling like, yes, something's going to give. Like she has to something's going to give. She's not going to live this lifestyle she has now and lead a rebellion. It's not going to go smooth. But this scene was heavy. This dude was a smooth talking motherfucker.
Yeah, bro.
He was such a great performance, such a great bounce off of each other. It was great. I would have been like, you know what? She's a pain in the ass. Go ahead. Your son can have her. Like, get her out of this house. I'm tired of looking at her. I'm tired of hearing. I'm tired of her bullshit. You know what? So I can get rid of her and save the you know, galaxy. That's a fair price. Like, go for it. Nah, she it makes it even. Like, think about how much she loves her daughter. Like, her daughter is that, you know, horrible to her, but she still wouldn't even like let the thought cross her mind, you know, to at least let him know that now that she would even consider it. But even then, though, he had that cold ass line. It was like, yeah, that's the first untrue thing you say because you know damn well you're thinking about it. So yeah, she's you know, she's definitely going through it right now as far as all the decisions that she has to go through, and it's really interesting that between her and this past up, you know, in the episode before this one, and then Luthen in this up, you know, both, yeah, Luthen in that episode too, we get to see, you know, these two heads of the precursor to the rebellion and the sacrifices they make. Like, we all know Luke's sacrifices and Leia's and Han's and like the people on the battleground in the OG trilogy, but it's really interesting to see the people who have like started the movement from grassroots and what they had to go through, because these weren't just people who had nothing to lose. These were people who were sitting pretty with the way things were.
Yeah, and that's it. And I'm with you though. Her daughter got to go.
She gotta go.
As we see, but the thing is, and we'll get to that in the next episode, we see that her daughter's willing. Like, she's literally willing. She's willing to go. Like, she wants to do this. You know what I mean?
Braid and the chain and the knots and the braid.
Yeah. Like, she just basically
she in
wants
a little
to
like she in a little like, you know, after school coat. It was bizarre.
That's it. Like,
like coat and cookies. It was weird.
Yeah, right. C3, CC, what you think about this? What do you think about like Mon Mothma's struggle right now? I mean, considering the simple fact that now, you know, her daughter's vice, you know, to get what's needed. You know what I mean? And you know, as reluctant as she is, you know, even Vel lets her know, like, yo, you got to do this. You know what I mean? This is what we have to do. What's needed. You know what I mean? she's, even though she said she was against it, you know, she's just like, look, you know, we have a goal, we know what we have to do. So how you feel about you know, her do you see, like, do you think, you know, we know that, you know, again, Mon Mothma becomes a stronger, much stronger character going forward, but right now we're seeing like the inner workings of someone who is forced to make decisions that you see that she's learning that she has to make decisions that she doesn't want to at times, you know what I mean?
Right. I think if I were to choose a theme of the episode, it would be sacrifice. Because something I thought about too is that even is it? I keep forgetting Kino. It sounds strong on my lips, so that's why I always think I'm saying it
want to
right.
say Kano, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to say Kano, don't you?
Well, it's like, is it Kino Lloyd, Kino Joy? Like, I don't remember the last name, but Kino, Andy Serkis, like he knew they're on an island. Like he remembered his first day being there. Like he knew that they were surrounded by water, and that he was not going to make it out. And I think that's why, towards the end of him telling Andor he can't swim, like he's got a bit of a smile on his face because he can't help but laugh. Like he's the one who kind of, if it wasn't for him, this wouldn't have happened. And he's not going to live to enjoy this, I feel. But same with this. So I think we see MM so cool, calm, and collected. The only times we haven't are when she was completely blindsided by Aldani, because she was not in the loop on that. And I was surprised she wasn't in the loop on that. And now we're seeing her even, I mean, I don't think her daughter's that much of a little shit as you guys are saying, but maybe I need to rewatch it. But regardless, it's her family, and she was in an arranged marriage. So as shitty as her daughter might be to her, she doesn't want her to put her in those shoes. So I think, and even, I don't want to like jump ahead, but yeah, I'd say the theme of this episode was sacrifice. And so we're seeing that MM, I think, in her enthusiasm to help the rebellion, really put herself in a pickle with her finances. And I think she knows that, unfortunately, like, you know, she sacrificed her safety in that she knows that they're watching her, and she always feels unsafe in that regard. But I think this is probably the biggest sacrifice we're seeing her make in regards to the rebellion, that wasn't just plunking out cash for the endeavor. This is like, hey, you fix this or you're found out. And if they find out, then it all comes crashing down, and they're not going to hand out sentences like what we saw at that prison for someone like you, if they find out that you're organizing, like you're close to Axis, and are a huge part of this rebellion.
Yeah,
it's death. Like, it's life or death.
Definitely. Mario, and great thoughts on that, CC. Definitely. Mario, what do you think about, you know, Mon Mothma's journey?
It's been rather difficult. I mean, it's like what you said earlier. This particular scene was, the proposal really was like a Game of Thrones proposal in space, man. That's exactly what I thought. We're gonna join our houses. I have a son, you have a daughter. You know, let's get them together. Yeah, you actually, she gets a daughter.
Narc. Thank you. Yo, that's funny. Thank you for the $1.79.
There you go.
He also
There you
said
go.
he got a theory about Andy Serkis. That's what he say.
He's punking Ryan Johnson.
Yeah. That's funny, bro. That's funny. But now, go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, I mean, you see her struggles. I mean, throughout the entire show, as far as like just trying to get things off the ground. Her taking money from her, you know, from her family spending account, you know, without notice, you know, and that's going to have consequences if, you know, if she actually gets found out. But yeah, she's been I'm sure it's just incredibly frustrating and not frustrating, but I mean just stressful. You've seen the early beginnings of this whole rebellion thing. Her dealing with what Skarsgård's character, why can't I remember his name right now?
Luthen.
Yeah.
Right. The stress that Luthen's putting her under as well. Yeah. But and then dealing with her family on top of that. So I think she's playing the game rather well with this guy, you know, from what I see and from what I remember, man. And she didn't cave in. She stuck to her guns and booted his ass out. And yeah, she's a strong woman, man. And I'm just curious to see what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, definitely, man. I want to pull this up real quick because this had me dying behind this. I was trying my best not to laugh, but because we were talking about Kino. This right here, hold on. Where's it at? Yo, this picture right here, it looks like he's saying, "Oh, y'all tripping." But then if you look behind him, it's like the dude behind him is like Robert De Niro. Like, come on, you if you look at it, bro, yo, I was dying off of this behind the scenes. It's like, yo,
talking to
Kino's
me?
like, yeah, you talking to me? But it's like Kino's like, oh, y'all want me to do what? Oh, nah. It's like, yo.
Well, was it a coincidence that Kino and the doctor both were kind of like hesitant to go to the edge, or was that just weird?
I mean, they just can't swim. You know what I mean? Like they just couldn't
Plain and
swim.
simple.
You know what I mean? And it's just like that's
Maybe
was
they'd
the
rather fry than
hesitation.
swim.
Yeah.
Or-
like that was
And not only you had to swim, that was like they were really high up. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot
bro.
of people who can swim that wouldn't be trying to jump off a bridge, and they were like at least eight stories up, literally.
And if you land the wrong way, and then you got that many people jumping in the water, if you land on somebody at that impact, like it's yeah.
I mean, like we even see in the next, not to get ahead, but we even see in the next episode, like there's 2 people that we know made it out of 5,000 on that, in that prison. So
Yeah.
a lot of people probably died on impact. I understand being hesitant to jump.
Now I'm cracking up at like just the idea of like all these people in this photo jumping and going
Yeah.
like on the way down. Oh, I'm just
Wait.
I wonder if it was like Kino obviously is hesitant because he does not swim. The doctor, I
Yeah.
wonder if it's because both of them have been there for so long, it's almost like
hesitation.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, man. You'd be
They're
like,
like-
yeah, maybe putting this shit together ain't so bad. Let's just go back to work. man.
I know, huh?
I'm good at organizing. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's I don't know. I mean, it feels like, and we actually got a chance to see again, like that developing that relationship between Melcy and Andor. You know what I mean? Like we got a chance to see that, because we saw inklings of it. And the thing is, it's like I'm trying to really remember, like, because Melcy looks really different in this show from the way he looked in Rogue One. Like, and I guess it is the hair, but in Rogue One, it was like his hair was short, he was gray, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess they did, age him down a bit in this show. But we got a chance to see that. What else did we actually get a chance to see? Like, I mean, because this was impactful like the entire time. Lives lost, bodies everywhere, like, for them getting out. And it's just like I don't want to say that, part of me was like, okay, Andor's working with them, but it's like, all right, it felt like he was working with them again to somewhat still get what he wants, because we didn't see that transition that we thought we were going to see until the next episode. You know what I mean? Until what he experienced. So it's like, again, like him and Melcy off, and again, like we see what happens this next episode that kind of pushes him to that point. But I mean, all in all, last episode was up.
There's one scene we gotta talk about real quick before we move
Yeah.
on.
No, and we're still talking about this episode. Yeah. What's
Yo,
up?
the elevator scene with Luthen in that speech.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Yeah,
I
that's what I
burned my
want.
life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see.
Mm-hmm.
God, yo, that shit was crazy. That shit.
Yeah.
That was very like defining, I think, for the whole Andor show. Like I keep telling people, I have a coworker who's like, I'm a few episodes in, it's boring, and I'm like, keep going. Like, just watch it.
I feel like it didn't really get good to episode 4, and then from 4 on, it's been one of the greatest things.
That's why I think this is like, I think because of the 2 monologues that everyone's talking about, Andy Serkis's getting on the mic, and then this one with Luthen. This one I preferred, obviously, to the Kino one, but man, killing it. Like that scene, watching it the first time, it felt like it was 5 minutes. I looked it up later, it's like a minute. Like he got a lot in a minute. It's just, you can't yeah, you that's just the excellent writing. He did an excellent. I think it's just I like the character more and more as time goes on, and especially with a
Yeah.
speech like that. I just hope he makes it out of this season,
Mhm.
so that we see more of that, more of him, learn more of his.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's almost like I want to see more of his character, but I don't want to know more about his character. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I like the
You
mystery.
want him shrouded in mystery.
Yep.
And I think I've said this too about someone else. I just can't remember who it was. But I've had this conversation specifically on the show where it's like, hey, some people you don't want to know their backstory from like when they're born to where they like how they got here. Like all we know is he's seen and done some shit to get him to
Right.
this place. And like I just want to know about his future. I don't want to know about his past. Because I think it kind of like lifts the veil a bit too much. Boba Fett, I'm sorry. Boba Fett, I think, was the character
Definitely.
who
Yeah.
And that's what's been happening with him.
Less
We're
is
not
more.
learning. We're learning. The cool thing about him is I feel like we're learning more about his past by things he's doing in the present without telling us what he did to get here. It's like when we first meet him, it's like he's just the money, and then it's like he's the brains, and then like we'll touch on in this episode, like oh, okay, he's skilled, he's a fighter too. It's like everything you see him do, it's like, oh shit, what the hell has he been through to get himself here? And I love that we don't need to know that. We can just put that together in our own heads, and it's so man, he's killing it. It's like he's just incredible. So it's not like there's just one guy carrying the show. There's multiple people just hitting home runs at every at bat.
He's living life at the moment. Like in this show, he's living it with intentions as if he has absolutely nothing to lose, that he's already lost some things. And the thing is, that loss, once we get into the next episode, because there's been bro.
Even here, right? Like,
yeah,
his spy tells him, all right, they're gonna take out this. And he doesn't even like hesitate. He's like, good, let him, because he doesn't flinch. And it's really refreshing because it's painted as we're kids, right? That the rebellion is just sunshines and rainbows, and the empire is, just this dark cloud. But it's like the rebellion had to break some eggs to make that omelet. Like they got their hands dirty getting to put themselves in a position where they could even face the empire, let alone take it down. And I love that it's not just clean, like they got dirty in the war. Like that's what was so beautiful about it, because it's like, nah, they're not perfect either. Like they had to do some evil things and that's his whole point of that speech. It's like, I had to become a monster to fight the monster. Because somebody had to. I had to like sell my soul, basically, so that way my future generations could have a chance of being free. So it's very powerful.
Like he's cerebral for a reason. You know what I mean? Yes. But at the same time, even with this scene, as powerful as the speech was, he still has empathy for this dude. Like he's still, he's trying to give him a level of reassurance, but also letting him know that there are implications. There are some complications in this whole thing. But
look at it, like, he even towards this man, he was like, yo, that's nice and all that you want to retire, but get back to work. It's just get back to work.
Even when he was saying get back to work,
I'll let you know when you're done.
Give him a level of, okay, but this is for a reason. Like we're doing this for a specific reason. You know what I mean? And you knew what you were in for, but at the same time, there is an end game here, and we have to go along with this. You know what I mean? But yeah, Mario, what did you think about this scene?
This was an incredible scene, man. I mean, we actually see him infiltrating the Empire. I mean, he's got an inside man, and he's just letting him know that he ain't messing around. Between like what Vinny said, he's basically doing what he had to do just to help build this thing and rise up against the Empire. And you see this man not expecting to live. We all said it earlier. He's got nothing to lose, and we actually see that. That being said, I don't think we're going to see him. I think we're going to see him go in the next episode, to be honest.
You think so?
I don't think we're going to see him out of season 1. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. but I wouldn't be surprised, if we actually see him dusted, at the on the finale, actually. But this again, they proved to be incredible writing, incredible acting. The cinematography in this scene as well, man, is just insanely good. I mean, it was really it really got you, man.
Yeah.
It kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it kind of got a little goosebumpy in a bit, like, holy shit, this guy, dude, is like, damn, it's like he's telling you what's up, and it's kind of frightening too at the same time to see what what one man is willing to do,
Mhm.
to make
How
sure
far he's
for the
willing to
for the
go.
greater good, for the
Yeah.
greater good, exactly.
Yeah.
That's also kind of frightening, but I mean,
I mean, because if you think about it, like everything that he's actually, well, again, we know there that he's implying that there's loss. He's seen loss. He's experienced loss. Things that he's actually had to go through. Going through the whole entire demise of the empire and how, or not the demise of the empire, but the rise of the empire, but the demise of the republic, and how for him watching friends and family that he knows gone, pass away, and now having to organize like basically an uprising at the expense of knowing that you will possibly die, and like it's like all that conditioning, everything, and how he's playing it, and just like you can tell that somebody like him has sat down and planned everything out accordingly. He's playing to the point where I don't even think Mon Mothma knows that he has an inside man, to be quite honest.
He's the rebellion's throne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is. He
Pretty much.
definitely is. He's definitely is.
He's the rebellion's throne, man. Just so calculated.
Yeah.
He's got all like a hand in everything. More than like no one even knows how much he's got going on. It's really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. What did you think about this?
I think that Luthen is, I guess, essentially a tragic character because he knows that he's not ever going to, I guess, be at peace, so to speak. He's always on the run, more or less, or hiding who he is, and most people aren't doing that. But he's one of the few people who has to do this because of the life that he's chosen, and he knows pretty much all the players. He's he's good friends with senators, he's good friends with people in the underground, he's good friends with people in and Ferrex, I guess, where it's the place to get anything you need to buy. If you needed anything in the world or in the universe, Luthen be the guy you'd go to. You'd go into his shop and you'd say, Luthen, I know you don't have it, but I need to get, I don't know, this special thing. And he'd say, I'll see if I can get that for you. Come back in a week. And he'd get it. So I think that he might be somebody who used to make miracles happen for people. But, once the Empire came into power, a lot of the joy has gone out. Maybe people aren't even doing the things that they used to do anymore. And slowly but surely, as he said, he would be the person who would notice the change more than anyone else because he's so, how should I say, he gets around so much that he's realizing that it's not sort of just one or two incidents anymore. This is going galaxy wide, and he doesn't like it, and he's not going to stand for it. But I think he might have been somebody who really had a huge impact on the galaxy, but now he realizes that there's nothing that he can do that has any impact anymore. What's the point of living? What's the point of continuing if your life doesn't really mean anything except to serve the Empire? Maybe that's what he's realized in his 15 year ago equation. 15 years ago, something happened, and he realizes that, the Empire is never going to let people be free and do the things they want to do. So he knew that before, and now he is maybe perhaps shocked at the progression of the Empire. And that's really what's disturbing him. And he knows it's that people are more set in their ways and don't necessarily want to be in a position where they have to fight for everything. That's very uncomfortable, but he's not ever going to stop fighting. And, he has somebody in every corner, doesn't he? He must have a network that's endless, and it's probably made up of a lot of people who work for the Empire.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. We got superhero displays out here with $1.79 super chat. He said Luthen is a fucking gangster. He is. Like he definitely is. Like he has, but he has to be, because again, he knows that there's things that he's what Mon Mothma will never be. you know, which is that level of sacrifice for this particular on this level. And he's taking the brunt of it, even though she's the face. He's the one that's calculated behind the scenes, trying to kind of organize everything and make sure shit happens, you know, the way it's supposed to. This scene, like literally, the dialogue in this show, and that was the question before we even move on. But that was the question I wanted to ask. Like, why is it that with this show, it's heavily driven on dialogue, character development, and our relationships with these characters, right? Everything that we ask for with, like, for instance, the sequels. We wanted to see like that build on relationships and that play on relationships like we got with, you know, Luke, Leia, Han, you know what I mean? All the OT characters, that feel that we got in Empire, that feel that we got in New Hope and Return of the Jedi. But we felt as though we didn't get that with the, you know, sequels, but we're getting it in this show and people are getting what they want. But, you know, when it comes to that, but it's still not as accepted, you know. What do you, and I'm gonna ask first off, all right, because Mario, I know that for you, like, you have your feelings about the show. Like it's like a roller coaster for you. Like, you know, so
Yeah,
far.
it really is.
Like sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. It's like you got to pick and choose episodes to really kind of attach yourself through to give you that feel. For you, like someone who's looking at it from that perspective, like what is it about this show that you don't feel as though you're getting when it comes to, you know, Star Wars?
It's difficult to say, man. I think accepting the fact that this is kind of like espionage and it's different than what I'm used to. I mean, I don't want to say, well, yeah. I mean, Star Wars has fairly been, you know, a lighthearted adventure, you know, since the beginning, since A New Hope. Well, I'm sorry, since Star Wars, when Star Wars was just Star Wars. OG fan. But yeah, Empire did take a turn when it was a little bit dark. You know, a little bit darker. We did see that seriousness there, but I don't know. I just think this show is really taking itself insanely seriously, and is just is just putting. I'm just beside myself, just trying to figure out, like, you know, what's going on in a sense, but I'm like, it's different and it's weird. It's weird. It's weird at the fact that I've been disappointed with the past few shows, and when something good comes along, I don't know how to feel about it. You know what I'm saying? It's weird like that, man.
I get you though. I get you, bro.
So it's just difficult because I just wish I could be as like excited for every little thing about it like you guys are, but like you said, for me it's just a little bit of a roller coaster, and I think that I really need to let this play out, go back and watch it again and really dissect it, and what, you know, because I think that's when, because for me Rogue One didn't really grow on me until, like, you know, multiple viewings after the fact. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, this is cool. This is all right. But then later on, you know, as I watched it more and more, I was like, I freaking love it. I thought it was like the best Disney film they ever done when it came to Star Wars. You know, I think it's the best thing that's out there. And I'm getting that same feeling with this show as well. So, but I don't think it's missing much when it comes to Star Wars, because a lot of it is there, you know, within that timeline. You know, the with the design, as far as like the with the characters and the costuming and then the environments, the props, it's all there. It's just the actual, you know, like I just said, the seriousness of the situations of what's actually going on.
It's not like different. The way, you know, so with this, it's the seriousness, it's the tone, it's the jargon. Yeah. Whereas with Star Wars, as we know, it's all about the adventure.
That's exactly the word. This is a drama, not an adventure. I think that's what's going Mario.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's you know what I mean. And for us, for me, who's gone on that adventure, you know, I think I wanted them to take this route, because again, it's like I was asking for something that was different, and I wanted to see something that was different, and that's where it's taking me. You know what I mean? It's taking me in a place where the dialogue and I understand so much more about the Empire and why. Like, it's like I'm in this show and I hate the fuck out of the Empire right now. Like I'm just so angry when I see the treatment and unfairness. And it's like, yes, now I really hate him. So now when I see Vader, I'm like, ooh, you know what I mean? But that makes for good storytelling. Cece, for you, what do you think it is? Like, what do you think is the disconnect with some people when it comes to this show? You know, when we look at it, it's like it's so good. Like it's like you want people to see what you see, but you understand like not everybody's going to see the same things, and they're going to move at their own pace. But what do you think it is?
So I will say, like, the critique I've heard from like that coworker who I keep telling like just stick with it is that it's just slow, and I can understand where it is very heavy. You know, we've talked about like 100 people being killed just to keep a secret. We've seen someone be tortured. We've seen romantic partners get killed in front of their loved ones and like stuff like that. And I think that I'm probably not the right person to ask, like, hey, you think this is dark enough? Because I've been asking for it for a very long time. Yeah. We finally got it. And I think that some people, it's so ingrained in us that we had even like some of the more heavier stories in Star Wars ingrained with a little bit of comic relief. Like we had K2SO in Rogue One. We had Han Solo in the original trilogy. We had BB-8 in the sequel trilogy. Like it's just, we've had sprinklings here, but here it's just, it hasn't let up. So I could see where it doesn't feel the universe is there, the characters are there, but I could definitely see how it's missing that like spark of hope almost. It seems very like, how the fuck are they gonna get out of this? Like this just seems like one shit show after another. The good guys are not doing fantastic. Like they had Aldani, but ever since then, like we're waiting for them to have like a triumphant moment. We saw revolt. That, but it's missing a lot of that hope. But I feel like you've got to start from the bottom in order to rise it to the top. Like if we just started at a really high place in the rebellion, it wouldn't feel as sweet when they do win, when they do succeed. So I think as things go on, it'll feel more like Star Wars because we'll have more maybe uplifting moments. I think with this being the first season of at least 2, and also we're gonna get time jumps, I think it's gonna start lightening up a little bit. It's just right now we have to see. We kind of got thrown into this in the early stages, but not in the very infancy. I do feel like there's been people like this operating for a very long time. So we don't have a lot of opportunities to see them being triumphant yet. There's more to come for that. But yeah, I mean, I keep asking for more adult material, more mature. I can't see a lot of young or I think casual viewers actually would like this. My mom's been liking it so far. She's hardly the Star Wars expert, but I think when the writing's this good, it's this suspenseful, the stakes are high. It feels more like a thriller, like an espionage thriller, and that's exactly what I was wanting from it. So yeah, I still think that it's certainly worth a watch, and it does have just enough Star Wars for me that feel. But I love the tone. I think they nailed it.
Yeah, definitely they did. I mean, it just pulls you in, and you're just right there with it. What are your thoughts on this? And it's, you know, I don't want to say divisiveness. I mean, is that a good word? The divided. You know, we have people who and one before Rita, before we get to you real quick, Cece, you said something that really stuck, and that was there's no hope right now. Zero hope. Like there's zero hope that we see right now. We see the formulation of hope in the rebellion. We see that it's forming, but right now we're in the level where there's no hope, and the bad guys just got a stronghold on everyone right now.
They're on their tail. All they have is a cache of credits, but Empire's on their ass. They're close to him. They're close to Andor. We don't know how next episode's going to go with his fear. You know, we'll get to that, I'm sure. But we don't have a light at the end of the tunnel yet.
Not at all. Not at all. Definitely we don't. Rita, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've asked a few people who, where let's say Andor was not their cup of tea, so to speak, and they were perfectly willing to watch the first 3 episodes. They were down for that, and they did. They watched it, and they pretty much are saying, that wasn't for me. They didn't hate it. I haven't heard anybody say they really hated it, but they've said that it was slow and that it's boring, and that's okay. That's how they feel about it. I certainly can't tell them anything contrary to it because it is a different paced kind of show, and
Mhm.
it is different from what we've seen. And some of the people that have said this have said that they're very skeptical, of course, because of prior performance. Disney hasn't been knocking it out of the ballpark like they used to, even 10 or 15 years ago with their productions. And the other thing that I asked them was, when the finale comes out, would you be willing to watch the whole thing? And they're like, yeah, I'd watch it from beginning to end, but I'm not going to watch it every week. And they seem to feel that it would only work if you watch it in like the first 3 episodes and then another 3 and then another 3 with the arcs. But I think that everybody's, has a different opinion about it. I don't know. It may not be for them, and it's okay. That's why we're very lucky at this time in Star Wars to have so many different types of shows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not comfortable watching the Clone Wars. Like that's not something
Yeah.
that's for them. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then who knows? Like sometimes they'll watch it. There's a different time and a different season for everybody and what they want to enjoy and when. But I have to say, this is the production I think that has maybe had the most thought since maybe, I don't know if it's fair to say. I'm not going to say it's not that, I love The Mandalorian, but it's not, The Mandalorian is not near the level of, I don't think they put as much work in The Mandalorian as they put into this show. This show feels like it has so much more of an effort in it. And I think it
Mhm.
shows just even in the littlest things, like Luthen's shop, for example, and going in there and immediately recognizing a lot of things, but then realizing that, not just anybody could get all those objects, right?
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
the symbolism of what it means to have a store like that in Coruscant of all places, or the idea that that is it Morlana one that on Morlana one, is it Morlana one or Ferrix, where it's the place where if you can't buy it on that place, then it's not worth buying.
Yeah.
And it may have been the underground of parts exchange, intergalactic parts underground. You can go there and buy your whatever it is you want to buy. Now it's not available anymore. Like you
Mhm.
can't go there and buy stuff there anymore. But you used to. That was, if you couldn't buy it there, like this whole notion of finding out all of these additional bits of information that you knew existed in the Star Wars universe because you read it in a book or you saw it, somewhere else. And now we're finally seeing all this behavior. We're finally seeing the senators turn their lights off, and we're finally seeing things like, people hanging out at Mon Mothma's, which is something we always knew happened. We're finally seeing all these things that we knew was part of the universe, but we'd never seen them in real life. So I think it's interesting. I think my reaction to this is the same reaction I had to Rogue One, was like, oh yeah, I always wanted to see that. And I'm not going to lie, I always wanted to see these stories, but not everybody, feels like they have to see that. Some people are like, well, the other stories in Star Wars was enough for me. And I understand that. So if you really wanted to see these stories, which I think pretty much everybody here on this panel wanted to see, this is a very exciting time for you. But for people who are, they're kind of okay if they didn't get a chance to see what happened with Mon Mothma, they're kind of okay with that. It may not be the most important thing to them. I understand that. And, not everybody is going to watch every show.
Yeah, true.
So that's something, and I remember when I first watched the Clone Wars, it was the original cartoon version. And I didn't care for the cartoon, like the actual drawings. I didn't like the way it looked. There's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't like it. So I stopped watching it. Then I turn on the TV. I think it might have been Cartoon Network, right? It was Cartoon Network that used to show it. I turn on Cartoon Network and I see it says the Clone Wars, but it looked very different. So this looks different. What do they do? And a friend of mine said, oh yeah, it's a different studio, I guess, who did the animation, or a different person who drew it. It felt like a completely different production. So even something as simple as the way something is drawn can, catch your eye or sometimes make you say, oh, that's not anything I'm interested in. So I think it's interesting to look at that, especially within IP. Are we the most prolific, and do we have the most work and books of any IP out there? Is Star Wars the biggest IP out there now? Maybe.
It's I Marvel and Star Wars is kind of almost neck and neck at the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like two big powerhouses. So yeah, I get it. Vinny, again, we talk about this all the time, man. It's just like kind of hard to have conversations with people when it comes to um this show because I think only in our circle, just me and you watch it. You know what I mean? Like, as far as I know, like here. You know what I mean? So again, it's kind of hard to have that kind of because even like I have to like Toya says she's gonna watch because she binges it. She likes to binge everything. So she won't watch it all at once. I mean,
Okay.
like episode by episode. So she's gonna binge it all. So it's me that gets up every Wednesday because I got to be ahead of the curve. I don't want people spoiling shit for me.
Exactly.
So I have to watch it. You know what I mean? So what do you think? Like, what do you think the disconnect, in your opinion, is, when it comes to this and why it doesn't have the viewership that it should have?
I think it's a pretty easy for me. I think it's a pretty simple answer for the polarization explanation for it, and that is I think that the lack of OG characters. And for me, watching the sequels, I felt like they would have been so much better if they weren't screwing up our childhood heroes. And we would have been much more accepting of whatever they did with Rey or Kylo if it didn't also affect Luke and Han and Leia. And I feel like that's a big thing that a lot of Star Wars fans couldn't like accept the new stuff and say goodbye to the old stuff unless it was done perfectly. Like, and there's some shows and projects where that's done perfectly and it's cool, but that was one where it was kind of like fumbled, so it just made you want to burn it all. Whereas with this, you have the only character that, for the most part, the only character that people recognize on the show is Andor, who, to be perfectly honest, the average person doesn't think of when they think of Star Wars. Most people don't. Most people on the street could name you 20 Star Wars characters and not get to Cassian Andor. And that might be even people who love Rogue One. They might think of, maybe Jen first, or, I don't think there was a lot of people saying, man, Rogue One was great. I can't wait I hope they do another movie about, with Diego Luna for Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
I just don't think that was something that a lot of people, were
Thought
going
about,
for.
yeah.
So this show doesn't have like those OG characters to make them feel like they're watching Star Wars. And to me, that's a big part of what's instantly Star Wars, but there's other things that make something feel like Star Wars, even without Harrison and Carrie and Mark. You know what I mean? So there's so many other things that mean Star Wars to us. But that is why I think that it worked for some people, and that's why I think it doesn't work for some people. And for me, as much as I love Star Wars, I love seeing new stories that I don't have an emotional investment in. It's like how sometimes, despite being such a huge comic book fan, there's some stories in comics that I've never read. Like, for instance, when the first time Hellboy came out, I had never read a Hellboy comic, and I didn't go into it saying they better not fuck him up. I was just able to enjoy it. If they changed it in his character, like, I didn't know till after I looked into him after the fact. So I wasn't sitting there going, no, he would never do that. Or in the books, that's different. There's no source material for what we're seeing now. This is new ground. This isn't them tweaking legend stories. Isn't that, you know what I mean? I think that's one of the reasons why people love it, because they're able to just digest new material without feeling like they already know what's going to happen or already have an opinion about these characters. Like, no one knows who Luthen is or should be. No one knows who Bix is or should be, or what she really would do. You know what I mean? You're just able to enjoy it for new material, new content, and the writing is so great that you're able to enjoy all that. And then on the flip side, if you're not maybe like a cinephobe, if you're not a really big movie buff or show buff, and you're not a huge Star Wars fan, maybe you watch the sequels or prequels as a casual fan, and you just kind of like know about Star Wars, and this doesn't have the lightsabers and like fun, lighthearted, you know, Millennium Falcon scenes, and this doesn't have those things to like keep you along. This doesn't have C-3PO cracking jokes. It's a different type of Star Wars product for people to digest. So I can see why people haven't gravitated to it. But one of the reasons why I like it so much is because I feel like their biggest fumble has been trying to tell new stories and old stories at the same time, because sometimes they do it great. Like with Mandalorian, they did it great. Like they've used older characters and infused it in there perfectly. But then Book of Boba Fett, they didn't know how to mix. Last Jedi and Return and The Last Skywalker, they didn't really know how to mix. Force Awakens, they mixed it great. It's like it's hit or miss when they're doing both old and new characters. But with this, it's basically a project that's, for the most part, all new material for us to digest. And they're doing such a great job with the writing that it's amazing to people who are willing to like accept like new stuff and a new type of show that's like we said, more of a drama than an adventure. And I definitely could also see how where's Han? Like, where's the lightsabers? Where's the blasters? We're not seeing a lot of things that are typical Star Wars trope things.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of a lot of the reason why we like it is because it is the reason why people don't like it, because, we're cool with seeing a new way of doing things within the confines of that universe. And some people just want, more of the same with a different tweak or twist, and that's fine too. I mean, that's part of why JJ made Force Awakens just like New Hope, but with different with different elements changed to it, so that way he brought people back with something that they recognize. They didn't try to change the reinvent the wheel, and this is reinventing the wheel. This is a whole new genre of Star Wars, and I think that's why so many people have been praising it for the balls that it takes to not do this with even a but to dedicate 24 episodes to something so dramatically different than what we've seen before. It's so ballsy. It's so ballsy. And I love that risk because, like that is something that they tried to do it. They tried to give people what they want and fucked up. So they're like, well, why don't we just let the creative people do it their way and see what happens? And I feel like it's a risk that I don't know the streaming numbers. I don't know what kind of numbers this is doing or how successful it is or not. I know either way, regardless of how many streams it's getting, we're getting 24 episodes of this, and then that's probably all we were going to get anyway. So I'm loving that they're doing this. It's a huge risk, and I feel like it's paid off so far. I mean, I love it.
It's a risk well taken.
It just goes to show you too, man. No matter how good or bad Star Wars can get, there's always going to be divisiveness within the community, man. You're always going to hear people don't like it. You're one way or the other, man. So
man, we got to see Kenobi and Vader this year, and people bitch.
Yeah,
can't win.
But you know what? I like that.
Lucas must be pulling their hair out. Like, what the hell do you guys want? I mean, we're giving you this. You say it's good.
It's like, here's something totally different. Yeah. People love it. If you're upset, here's Kenobi and Vader again, which is something totally rehashed. People love it, hate it. It's like, people are gonna love it. People are gonna hate it. Just do what you want to do, what you feel is creative. Like, stop worrying about what people are going to like or not like.
And you know what?
Make creative decisions.
It was like this. Exactly. It was like this in the very beginning. This was, and like I said, it was like this for New Hope. It was like this for Empire, like this for Jedi. It's just that we didn't have social media. So of course we didn't have a platform that large to speak on, but people still enjoyed it. So as successful as we thought those films were, which they were, it was still divisiveness. It was still, we hear it all the time. Rob cannot stand Return of the Jedi. He hates it. And I loved it. You know what I mean? So again, he hates it, bro. He hates Return
Rob's
of the Jedi.
An oddball, man. He's
I get hating Return of the Jedi. I get that there's so many elements in there that are, if the same type of shit people bitch about with the prequels, but it's just it's pepper with so many Empire stuff in there too that it's like, You just take it, with the good with the bad with it. It's
Yeah.
there's a lot of Star Wars that's not for all Star Wars fans, and that's what's so great about this show is that they're just all right, just keep putting out as creative content as you can, and like Rita said, like there's gonna be something for everybody along the way. Like I mean, what can they do? I mean, you can't.
I want to see CC in Star Wars. That's what I want. I just want to see CC. I
We
want
all
to see
do.
CC walk past the camera. Just walk past the camera. That shit would make me laugh for some reason. I don't know, because she just belongs there for some reason. I could just with an attitude. I just want to see.
She walking by
Well,
going,
you know what-
"See?"
You know what's funny? I forget what.
No, I know what we need to see when
CC walking into these toilets.
we need to see when Cyril's mom is just yab yab. We need to see Cece just stick her head in the screen and be like, "Yo, would you shut the fuck up?" And then
Yep.
Funny shit.
Yeah, like just chime in. Can you nag him a little bit more? And then just like,
go away, no.
I don't think you're needy enough as a mom. Could you?
His mom is the worst.
Can you be clingier, please? So, speaking of moms, so that I'm saying something relevant to the show, I saw. I think it was like a Facebook suggested thing with like Star Wars memes, but it was actually I liked it. They're talking about how Star Wars so far has been a story about fathers. Like obviously Luke and Vader. And then now we have Andor, and it's a story about moms.
About moms.
It's about moms. It's about
mom. It's a mom. Yeah, you know what I mean? So you're starting to see that. Yeah.
Naggy ass mom. I think the last group therapy that we did, obviously we talk about props and stuff like that, and I did voice my disappointment that and someone mentioned the marketing for Andor wasn't fantastic, and I agree. I keep going to Orlando and I don't see any Andor shit. Like I saw I think 2 Kenobi shirts when I was there in the Disney store, but nothing Andor related, and I'm still upset about it.
Makes no sense.
But we haven't gotten the figure, and it's been weeks.
Right. And I did see that a lot of the kind of like set design pieces, like even the champagne flutes they used, someone sourced the tea kettle that was in the show, someone sourced the sconce from the show. Like they're finding all these things online, and I'm like, oh, it's tempting. I think I need something on the walls, more stuff on the walls.
Yeah, definitely. So going into that, because I want to move on to the next episode, which we are right now. So we find both, and the opening scene for this was funny as hell. Like for me, it was funny, especially they sprinted and they thought, like seriously, they thought they was right there, bro, like right there, and it was just like, nah, son, y'all don't get off that easy. It's just not going to happen. But again, we wind up with both of them, together, both Andor and Melcy, plotting their escape route. And again, it's crazy that how they're relating a lot of this stuff to the prequel, because we find out that the ship, what is it? What did they call it? The
quad jumper.
The quad jumper. Yeah, that basically it's the same ship that we saw in Force Awakens. So it's really crazy that they're kind of hearkening to that. They're making it, the symbolism is there. Like they're doing these things. They're tying them all together, like whatever. But again,
just like
hopefully
that's where we're seeing Andy Serkis character Snoke. I'm telling you, bro. Put it all together. Put it all together, man. That's Snoke.
Yo. But we see them on the beach. They're ready to get to the quad, but thinking that these aliens aren't really equipped. Finally, we see like aliens in the show, like a race, itself. Which was incredible. The dialect was funny. But we also find out that they too do not like the Empire. So of course they're like, yo, all y'all had to do was ask us if we would have gave you, you don't like the Empire, we'd have gave you a ride. You want to steal our shit? Damn, we want to eat. Like,
they said, shit, Negro, that's all you had to say.
Straight up, like that's it. That's all you had to say. Let's go. and got him off world. You know what I mean? The conversation was there, and we're finding that again. You know, when we talked about earlier, you know, in factions, there's racism. You know, even in an empire, like where aliens are separated from, you know, just the common man and stuff like that. And we're seeing like now that hatred is poured across all over, and you know, just now they're getting off world. You know, we know that, you know, it's, you know, there's going to be allied relationships formed on so many different levels. What did you think about this opening scene, Mario? Did you saw this episode, right?
Yeah, man. It was yeah, it was a little comedic, like you mentioned. I mean, they're just, like you said, just trying to get across. They thought they were scot free. I still don't trust these dudes, man. I know, I because didn't they say that like, the Empire is willing to pay up too? I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Yo.
Come on, man. No, they're gonna turn him in. No, they're gonna turn him in.
But don't you think they would have did that already though? Like they got him on a ship. Like
Before they went off.
Yeah, where they're going?
I
Come
mean,
on, they're taking us straight to Deidre, dude. That's where they're going. Taking us straight to Deidre. Straight up.
Mario's like they're narcs. Every one of them narcs.
Yeah, every one of them. Yep, exactly.
yo,
know what's
Mario,
so
if
funny
he was
about
on, I
that?
tell you, if he was on his planet, he wouldn't trust nobody.
No.
Wait,
Mm.
No, wait. But,
The thing I
way.
trust is that this guy knows how to eat. Look at that gut.
Yeah, right.
I know, right?
yo,
Living a good
Mario's
life.
on to something, yo. Think about it. They swam away, right? And there was barely any patrol. I mean, I know they climbed the mountain and stuff, but how they not see him on the mountain? That was kind of hard to believe. But then the patrol wouldn't have seen that there was a ship that took off from on their radar, and they just let them get away. And they just happened to have like, I don't know, like a Spider-Man home defense system like lined up right outside. It was there was a lot. This part was a bit weird for sure. So
Well, and
yeah, they seemed a little fishy because I was like, all right, they just
Yeah.
let him go. Like they just helped him out with no. It was a little too easy.
Well, we said the same thing about, you know, Mon Mothma's friend, and so far, you know, again, but I like the simple fact that we are in a space where we just don't trust nobody right now.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if there was like Alcatraz or a prison and there was absolutely nothing around for miles and there was a ship take off from there, you would think that would be noticed. That's all.
Well, I think it's a testament
Especially during the
to
prison break.
the status of the Empire right now,
Mm-hmm.
where these guys are like, "Oh shit, we don't like fuck the Empire too." Like,
Yeah.
oh, like say you don't like the Empire, you're like escaping. Say less. Like, just hop in. Like,
Yeah.
I think for that reason it seems. But we also had that that kind of scene in Kenobi
Yep,
where
that's what I was thinking too.
he was in the truck with Leia.
Yeah.
And then that guy is a sympathizer and is like, "Hey, I picked these guys up because they seem."
Yes.
Yeah. It's just weird that they didn't just. How was there not? How they let anybody off world? You know, you mean?
Well, I
would
think
that
when
the
they're-
Empire would
I
shut
think
down
it's
everything.
arrogance. I think it's kind of like what they implied with the prison break, where it's like, hey, they have 12 guards per floor because they don't think it's ever possible that someone's gonna even try and escape because it's too ballsy. I think it's
Right.
arrogance. They didn't expect anyone to escape, and therefore no one's gonna escape, and therefore no one's gonna have to get off world. So therefore we're not gonna have to patrol who's coming and who's going. And also, if you have 5,000 people you're trying to find, like a little ship can definitely slip through the cracks. I feel,
Mm,
but we'll
mm.
see.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, how's your trust on this? Are you suspect? Did you sus on these aliens as well?
I didn't because they asked them where they wanted to go, and you know, I think that it's funny that they just took them wherever they wanted to go, but they told them very specifically, "We have to get going. We've got to get out of here now," which almost implies that maybe they can't even stay on their own planet. You know, maybe the reason why those catchy things, whatever you would call them, were there in case the Empire came by and not these two guys. So it would allow them to get a quick escape, maybe not capture anybody who was to take their ship. So they're probably just so glad it wasn't anybody from the Empire snooping around, where they are, but maybe they just came for a little recon mission and they have to fly and stay away from their own planet because there isn't anybody on that planet. There's nobody. They blasted away and took off everything or anything of value on there. From what I've seen, from what we've seen, they pretty much destroyed that planet. So
I have to go back and watch, but the actual prisons itself, just real quick, isn't underneath it a bunch of whirlpools like for the zero, like the anti-grav to have them afloat in the first place. So isn't it likely they all would have just got sucked into the whirlpool as they jumped off anyway? Because wasn't that right underneath the prison?
I think they turned it off though, didn't they? They
because they did shut the power down. So
okay,
most of the power
wouldn't that
down.
have crashed it?
I don't know.
I don't
know.
Okay.
I mean,
Treble does also brought up a really good point. When they brought him to his room, the lockbox was still there with all his money and his gun and stuff.
Yeah.
At first, I thought he was stealing from them, and that was like their place or whatever. And I was like, wait, that was his stuff. Why is that still there? Because wasn't it just a room he was renting?
Yes, it was. I guess maybe he put it. It's like putting it in the ceiling boards. It's not
just like on a shelf. It was just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like again, that was like a luxury. It looks like a luxury type of hotel or like a vacation spot where everybody goes. You know what I mean? Like Miami for you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's what it seemed like, to me. So I really don't know. I mean, it's
I mean,
now
got it back.
I'm not looking up there. I'm just
I'm not going to check it out. The lockbox. They're just like whatever. It is what it is. But the scene that kind of got me, literally when I was watching it, I was like, damn, I've never sympathized for, a binary species like a droid. You know what I mean? I never did, but this droid really tugged at your heartstrings because he did not want to leave. He wanted to wait. He just didn't want to accept the simple fact.
He did like R2 and just shut down till Luke came back.
Like you can see the attachment that he had. Like, and somebody made references like a pet. Like when a pet is loyal to their master and there's love and a bond formed. Like really, you felt it. With this robot. With this droid. And it was amazing. Like to basically see. But I was like, damn. Like that's really deep. I didn't even think she was going to pass. Like I kind of I thought she could, but I thought there was potential for her to get better and we might see her again. But man, I did not see that.
Yeah, that was tough. They should have wiped that droid's memory, like put it out of his misery.
Damn, dude.
I mean, it's wouldn't you?
I mean,
no.
I feel like that'd be humane.
I mean,
leave him with something to remember, bro. Like straight up, like it's just.
You know what I mean? That what happens in this world when droids get new owners? They wipe their memory so that it's theirs. I mean, that seems to be what has happened in others.
They've never done that to R2,
too, right? Like for confidential information.
Absolutely.
From the previous owner, maybe.
I think that's part of why R2 and C-3PO are so special is because most droids have had their memory wiped multiple times and they have retained their memory.
Now C-3PO, his mind's been wiped a few times.
R2 hasn't though.
No, R2 hasn't, but C-3PO has.
C-3PO did C-3PO have his mind wiped before Return the last movie?
His mind was wiped. What do you mean? Because remember, his mind was actually
at the end.
At the Revenge of the Sith. Remember, he had his mind wiped. Then that's why there was a lot that he couldn't remember that R2 could. You know what I mean? In New Hope, which makes perfectly good sense.
Yeah.
So and because he talks too much. Talk too much, bro. So
but he's a communications droid.
He's a protocol droid. That's what I'm saying. Like most protocol droids, he's not like binary like R2, who speaks just pure binary language. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't. You can't really tell unless you have someone who's an interpreter. C-3PO speaks regular language, so of course. And he talks too fucking much. So you know what I mean? Like it's like you can't shut him up. So I'd have did the same thing. Wipe his mind, man. Like straight up his mind.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping here. You're gonna have to I'm not gonna we gotta do something.
You got to wipe his mind.
Cyril's mom of droids, you're saying.
What you say?
He's like Cyril's mom, but in droid form. Like he just talks.
yeah,
wow.
yeah, he is. He just talks way too much.
Too
But
much.
yeah, like I mean, again, now we're seeing that the mother's going to get the proper burial, and Deidre is going to allow it to happen because they're setting it up, waiting to see Andor return home. You know what I mean? So that's the expectation, is that he's going to basically return home. We see Bix once again. Again, she looks terrible. Like now she looks worse than, like, she's just reliving that horrific sound in her head that we didn't hear, but she's basically hearing it. Like,
Shout out
right
to the
now.
makeup department doing their best to try to make her look ugly. That was impressive. They were like, more bags, dig in there. Like, we need to try to make it look like she's going through hell. It was almost comical how much like they tried to make her look like a zombie to show that she was fucked up from the alien cries. But
Yeah,
I still feel like that's a stretch. It's kind of a stress. Like, a lot had to happen perfectly in order for Andor to like fall into this trap. Like, he literally had to just happen to break out of prison right after she happened to die, and someone just happened to have got the word to him. Like, a lot had to happen for Deidre's plan to have worked, because she didn't even know that he was in jail.
Well,
yeah.
Deidre's going to see Cyril again. Isn't that what's going to happen? I think because Cyril wants to be there, and I imagine Dedrick wants to be there. So they're going to see each other again, and maybe sparks will fly.
I'm telling you, man.
I don't know. I just think that Cyril's going to fuck up again. He's going to interfere. Like, he's going to fuck up like again.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I see from he's like he's getting in the way. Instead of just like with his obsession to Andor and to prove something, it's just way too much. Like, he's starting to annoy the fuck out of me, like, literally, but he's supposed to. Like, he really is.
Look who raised him.
His mom, man. Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah, that
With that voice, Sarah, what are you doing? Oh my God, Sarah, have some more food, honey. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing with your life, Sarah? Sound like she's been chewing cigarettes all day.
One of the conversations that I really and I want to pull this up here. One of the conversations that I really did enjoy was seeing Vel when she basically had that conversation with Leah at the shop, and as if it's like sort of challenging her. Or is her name Leia, right? Clea. But that conversation that they had, and it's sort of like she's challenging her as if to say that she's not doing enough. You know what I mean?
It's like, bitch.
Yeah.
She's like, I will drop you in the middle of the shop.
Yeah. Like, definitely.
Are you
And
trying to check me?
yeah, like
Well.
checking her like this for information, like,
you
trying
know
to,
what we doing here?
yeah. Like, I've been in this from day one. Like, you know what I mean? I'm keeping more secrets than what you can possibly realize.
Yep.
Like, who you think you're talking to? But just checking her like left and right. But I love that conversation because we definitely see that Clea is capable. Like, she's well capable. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
she's holding her ground. Like, she's holding things down as much as that she may feel like, yo, like, get off my back. You don't know what I'm enduring. I have to check you, keep the store ran, keep the suspicions off of our backs, knowing that Luthen's out there doing whatever he's doing, risking his life for this particular cause, keeping things in order, and you challenging me? Who the fuck you think you talking to? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it just felt like. But it was so nicely done. I love this. I loved the banter, between them.
But also, I think that the other thing too is that I don't know what Clea's background is, but Clea knows that Vel comes from a very good background, and she has had a very pampered life supposedly. There's nothing that Vel is ever going to be able to do that's going to give Clea any kind of make Clea feel that Vel has any street cred.
Yeah,
because Clea is like, I don't think so, miss. You've lived on your little Chandrillin homeworld and been very pampered. Vel is wearing these incredible earrings and necklace that I have to get. But the point is that she's looking at her. I mean, look at what she's wearing as she steps in there. You know,
Yeah.
Leia can't buy any of that stuff. She's not in there for that. She's like, look, I know you're doing your little afternoon rebel thing. I know you're doing your little thing, and you did that little job, but you know, I don't think so. So that's what she told her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But I did like this. If I'm looking at this from the side, like, and Vel, like, I'm imagining that Vel is right now, because this girl, this from the side, Cece, this looks like you talking to Vel. Like, just from the side, slightly, it looks like you talking to Vel. And I'm just putting my monologue and what you could be saying here, like, bitch, don't be coming in here, my like, who you think you coming into my place? Yo, like,
You come to my house?
yeah. Definitely. Now,
And is that an Aztec calendar or is it something else?
It's apparently Mayan. It's inspired by a Mayan calendar. Yeah.
that looks,
Cool.
yeah, it's ironic, but that's dope. I like that. But I want to bring this up real quick. I have to, because I have questions, and I can't be the only one that has been thinking about this. Now, it may not be, and I may not want it to be, but if it would be, it is so dope. I'm sorry.
I know what you're gonna say too.
Then if you know what I'm going to say,
Oh yeah.
please tell me it's not.
I don't.
Because it's interesting.
I don't want it to be.
Me neither, but they leaned in on this. As soon as he handed it, they leaned. And the thing is, it's like when I heard somebody talk about it, I was like, wait a minute. He did have a kyber crystal. He does have a store full of Jedi artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and that ship, which we'll get to, basically was powered by kyber crystal. You know what I mean? Especially the defense device.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Vinny, what you think, bro?
I think the more telling thing is the ship scene that we haven't got to yet, because at first I thought it was just a coincidence. And then I started to put it together, and it's like, no, this might just be him using kybers in a way we've never seen, in a way that, you know, looks lightsaber-ish, but is just a different type of laser apparatus. And for all we know, there's worlds and places where people use kybers differently. I mean, we've seen kybers used as lightsabers, obviously, but we've seen the Empire use kybers as a shooting laser. You know, like, what if this is just another way, like, of using that tech? And we've seen him obviously just pull surprise out of nowhere. So for all we know, it's something just completely different. It could be anything, but yeah, that they're definitely like we said beginning, like, we keep learning more about him from things he's doing in the present. And I mean, we might not escape the Force on this show after all. It's possible.
It's possible. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it's possible. Mario, you seen this? You know, what were your thoughts?
I'm with SB, man. I thought looks more like a club than any other weapon that can be handled like y'all might think it is. I mean, unless it's like modular, like Kanan's was, maybe, but it doesn't. First appearance, man, it doesn't look like anything that it could be some sort of lightsaber or whatever like that. But I can see the theories, building up. I just think it's I just think it's a stretch for them to be like showing us everything without, any signs of the Force or a Jedi or a lightsaber. I don't think they're going to do it this deep right now.
See,
I really don't.
I wonder about it too, because I thought we saw something that looked like it was kind of lightsaber-ish on his ship. Or at least he used it as a defense from his ship. So he has some other, we already know he has kyber crystals. This man has kyber crystals. So, he has a ton of them, and maybe he's trying to like collect more or uses them as weapons. I don't know who the first person who, other than let's say a handheld lightsaber, I don't know what other iterations other than the Death Star.
Exactly. There might be a totally different way. The ship is already a totally different way of using them.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking, I've never seen that before. I mean, is it the first time we've ever seen that on a ship?
It is for me.
I've never seen it. I've never even heard anybody talk about anything like that in a book or anything. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah. At first I thought they were just lasers, and I was like, wait, is that a
like technically the Death Star and Starkiller Base are basically giant lightsabers. Like just the hardest thing, the Kyber. But yeah, like on a small ship like that, I haven't heard anything. I'm not an expert, but I haven't heard of anything like that being used before.
Yeah.
So we know that he uses Kyber. I imagine it's from Kyber. So we know that Luthen already uses Kyber as a weapon.
Yeah, and it's important to him. You know, in that ship again, which we'll get to in a minute, but that ship is lined by a whole bunch of it. You know what I mean? Apparently, I loved it. That was dope. It was he had a double-bladed lightsaber on his ship. Like his ship's a double-bladed lightsaber. Like
Bro,
it's incredible.
I just kept going back and rewatching that scene. I was just like, what the fuck did we just see?
What did we just see, bro? Like it was incredible. His conversation that he had with again Saul Guerrero, it's just nothing to lose. Testing Saul, and we know Saul is vigilant and at the same time can be reckless, but he's temperamental. You know what I mean? And
he used a Jedi mind trick on him. Because think about it. Saul looked like the type of person you could convince like to change his mind. I don't think so.
Nah.
Because Saul don't seem like the type of person you could like persuade to change his view on something. And then in the span of one quick conversation, Saul was like, you know what? Actually, they do all gotta die. You're right.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that was quick. Okay, all right.
He just like even right now, he's looking at him. He has that like my uncle face, that like that Negro please face. Like he just don't believe nothing that you say. Yeah. Like you can say something to him, he's like, yeah, stop playing.
Or more,
like
maybe
straight up.
More like what? What?
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like what? Like so it's and that's what I'm saying.
Yep. It's dope because he flipped it. He flipped it on him.
He flipped it on him.
That's what you would do, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Flipped it on him and had that, like, again, nothing to lose. I'm not going to tell you anything, but I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And your man right here could be working with me. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, he is. Almost had him believing that Two Tubes was working with him. You know what I mean? Like, and Two Tubes was like, what? I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that. But it was, again, it was a space in him understanding that, like, look, you can go in guns blazing and again, we can lose it all. Or you can follow my lead and let this play out the way it needs to be. Like there's going to be loss, but you knew what this was. Saul Guerrero, you stood for this. You've done this yourself. Like you've done this before. Like the casualties of war by any means necessary. So now we're in the thick of things by any means necessary. And you got to think before you act. And this is basically what he was, saying right here. So yeah, I definitely did enjoy the conversation that he had with Saul. And I think that, again, like this next episode is going to be huge. I can't wait. But Mario, what did you think about that? You already said like you don't believe, that's what we saw. But what did you think about this conversation that he had with Saul Guerrero?
It was interesting to see like the mistrust suddenly change and then just tell him, there's no way out of here, right? Or something like that. Yeah. So I found that interesting. That how he just turns on him on a dime on him, and the way that he just manipulated, like you say, manipulated, thinking that Two Tubes, was actually, working for the Empire. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, it was really interesting to see Saul just ready to go to war, like immediately.
Yeah.
So that was, he still has that nature, amongst him. He's like war battle hardened and war ready, like, whatever and whenever, let's just go. Like, I mean, that's a real gangster right there, dude. Saul.
Like that's where he's at. So, like he just can care less.
Generally.
Like let's just go all the way in. And Saul's this very militant. It's like they're two, like both of them are two sides, two people on the opposite side of the coin, but like again matched up evenly. It's just that one is more strategic, cerebral. The other one is strategic but really active. So it's just like we're seeing that, those two individuals and how they're kind of working and where this is going to go. I guess where I'm trying to see is where, because we know that Vale and what's the other girl's name?
Leia,
Not
Cinta,
Claire. Yeah,
Cinta.
yeah,
Cinta.
Cinta. They're
Cinta.
there waiting. Everybody is there waiting for Andor to return. Like everybody to kill him. And well, we know it's not going to happen, but I'm just interested in seeing how this is going to tie itself together with this next episode. I'm so excited. It's right before Thanksgiving. Come on, let's go.
I have a question about Saw asking for those parts. You remember he said he'd do the job, but he has to get those extra parts. Are they not able to get parts anymore because of what's going on in Ferrix? Because it seems like the Empire is there, and that used to be sort of like the hub to get stuff.
Everything shut down because everything is on watch now because of what they did. Everything is on lock. They're watching everything. They're watching in and out, ports in and out. Everything is basically being tagged. Ships are being searched. Everything. So it's really right now is just kind of heavy. You know what I mean? Money's been lost. Money that was on the table is no longer available, and they're trying to trace it all by any means necessary. So yeah, with him, there's no easy way to really get his hands on things, and he's really been depending on Luthen to get it because that's what was guaranteed at that point. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Where that portion of it goes because it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I wanted to bring this up really quick because this scene more than anything, I was like, yo, this shit right here was dope. And I still don't know what it was I was watching, but whatever it was, I was like, how come nobody else in the rebellion actually has their hands on this technology that can take out a tractor beam like that, like straight up?
Yeah.
Countermeasures are in order, like straight up, like is whatever those things were. It kind of reminded me of, did you ever see what movie was that? The Star Trek with Idris Elba in it, and how those little things that you just destroy and demolish and eat away ships. This is what it sort of looked like it was in this episode. But I was like, yo, this shit is boss, like for real. And Mario, you got some more TIE fighters, bro, and you got a TIE bomber, bro.
And did I miss that?
There was one there.
Did I miss that?
It was the TIE bomber there, right there, bro. It just again didn't make it out because Luthen's ship was like, yeah, nah. That copper crystal just came in and did it. But I mean, literally, this scene was like, okay, now for everybody who was like, okay, there's not enough, well, there's no action and we're just getting through. It's like, okay, let's give him a little bit. Let's give him a taste. Let's give him a taste.
Phenomenal.
It was phenomenal, man. I love it.
I thought, in case you're not up on ships, which I am not, but I'm thankful that I'm friends with people who are. So that ship was based on concept art by concept artist Colin Cantwell that was not used for the original trilogy. And he died only recently, I think a few months ago. So that was cool. And also I think it was called, like they said Cantwell on the radio when they were going back and forth with Luthen. I don't know if it was like Cantwell class or something like that, but like the ship with the huge ass satellite dishes was a Colin Cantwell design.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a throwback to that.
Yo, I think to answer your question about the tracking technology, I think they like literally had, I mean, just think of it now that you mentioned it, they had the kind of like satellites right in front of the ship, and maybe this fight caused them to rethink how they were placed so that way they weren't susceptible to just being shot down. Because if all it took is to just shoot, literally shoot those discs down, and then no more tractor. Because think about it, like on destroyers and and all the other Imperial starships we've seen, I don't remember seeing like just one or two right in front being that susceptible and easy to take out. So that might be part of it. Or on a destroyer, there's so many, so that way they'd have to take out hundreds of them. But that fight was insane. And like you said, they sprinkled in some action, and when they do, they've done it so well. Like the dogfight earlier in the season with the TIE fighters was incredible as well when they were escaping from the money heist. It's just, I mean, I've rewatched this scene like 3 to 4 times, like just ran it back. It's just insanely good.
I thought the shards and the satellite dish were kind of like his whistling birds flex
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
And like looking at
yeah.
the lasers, if it's a lightsaber or whatever it is, if that is powered by crystals like a lightsaber, just think about how big those kyber crystals have to be what 20 feet on each
Mm-hmm,
side at least.
mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
And how focused they are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which me, and that's why I'm like, okay, he knows this technology. Who built that ship? Like,
Mhm.
who built it? You know, him knowing and how kyber crystals are important to him. Like, I don't know. They this it, is look. I wouldn't want it to be, and I wouldn't want them to reveal it. But it's just like I would if they even if they shrouded in mystery. I just love that I'm thinking about it. They have me thinking about it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
MB
But they're not.
Tyson make.
They're
I'm
not
sorry. Go
red
ahead.
though, man. No, I
what
was
you
just saying,
say?
kyber crystals by nature we know aren't red, right? I mean, isn't
No,
it
they
Maybe
canonical
bleed.
now
Yeah, they're
that
blood red
maybe
you
based
have to
off
make
maybe
them
of.
Luthen
bleed?
maybe
Yeah,
Luthen needs to be assessed. We don't know. Who knows?
never know.
Mm.
Dyson has a like an issue with the new tech in a prequel, but I like seeing new tech in prequels here and there if it's smartly used because the Empire is known for suppressing technology as they came into power. That's why in the prequels they were able to have lots of tech that we didn't see in OG trilogy explained away by when they came into power. It was like we got this, but y'all aren't allowed to have shit. Like Germany, like we're we're going to teach y'all what you need to know, but burn your books.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of precedence for that of them suppressing technology in many different ways and
Mm-hmm.
just using them wanting to be the only people with advanced technology.
Exactly. And on top of that, who knows who he stole this? He might have stole this shit from somewhere. You never
Mhm.
know. You know what I mean? So again, like there's so much to really think about when it comes to that. But
Yeah.
this scene right here, bro, I was like, that this was a beautiful shot and harkens back to the last scene that we saw with him and Jenna Erso in
Yes.
Mhm.
Rogue One. It was such a beautiful shot. Him finding out that his mother passed away. Mel C telling him like, look, people have to know we have to split up. Like, but people have to know what's going on and what's happening. And I think this was the defining moment for him, really realizing that yes, I have to now align myself with the rebellion. This needs to stop. Like this stuff needs to stop happening.
Yeah.
We need to push forward. And I think this was that moment where he realized that there was something more than his own personal needs. You know, he had to become more selfless than selfish. And I like that. I like, just them using this moment as a callback, but at the same time, it's showing his evolution in a sense. What did you think about this, CC?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it's a shame because I feel like if it wasn't for the fact that he was just told his mother died, it would be hopeful. And then part of
Yeah.
me is thinking, well, is it a hopeful scene because now we know like this might be his spark because the last thing he remembers talking to his mom about was how she was going to fight the Empire.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if like he's decided that like we know I think his motivation was he just wanted to get to his mom, maybe go on the run and just try to live his best life with the credits he had. But now he knows that's totally impossible because because what Melshi's saying, like they have a duty to other people to fight and to tell people that this is happening who don't believe it's happening. Like you said, very like concentration camp kind of stuff. And now like the one thing that was keeping kind of like tying him down is gone, like his family. The only thing he had was family. So it's sad. So you can't really say that it's like a hopeful scene, but I think it's hopeful for us because we know like, okay, that's it. Like that was the only thing holding him back and stopping him from being the rebel that we know he's going to become. And so it's on like Donkey Kong after this. You know what I mean? Like better. I should have used better wording for that, but I couldn't think of anything.
It's on. Like I haven't heard that in a while.
Or like Donkey Kong. I ain't heard that in a while, but I like that. Rita, what is your thoughts on this scene and seeing that they kind of paid homage again to like that scene? And do you think that now he's realizing that, you know, the thing that he's been fighting against is something that he needed to be fighting for. You know what I mean? Like he needed to be fighting with. So how you feel about it?
I think he's looking at this moment and I think he's realizing that I think when he got the money, he kind of looked at it as if he hit the jackpot. And that once he got that money, things were going to be better, that his life was going to improve. Everything was going to be okay. He just had to grab his mom from that planet and go and do whatever they want to in the galaxy. No one would have ever seen them or heard from them again. But I think it took the point maybe here when Melshi tells him that we have to tell people what happened. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, the idea of telling people something that he's probably very angry about and sharing that with others isn't something that Andor ever does. He doesn't do stuff like that. Now he has to share and tell people that he was imprisoned unfairly and that they broke out of a prison. And this is what the Empire is doing. He doesn't want to share bad things that happened to him. He just wants to enjoy himself, enjoy his life, get his mom off of that planet, get his mom off of Ferrix, and just go and enjoy himself for a change. But I think ever since he got the money, all it's really telling him is that you got this money. You're not going to be able to just do whatever you want to do. Now something else has become important in your life. And Melshi, he can't argue with Melshi. He's right. You know, Andor doesn't want to see other people in prison, even though it may not be his priority or something that he's living to do. He doesn't want to see other people get their lives all ruined and in prison like that. Especially, I imagine that he thinks about, is it Olaf? Pretty much every day since that happened. You know, Olaf died, his mother dies. You know, that could have very well been Marva in that prison or anybody else. So, you know, it is something to think about how easily he managed to end up in prison because he wasn't doing anything right. He wasn't doing anything wrong, but it could just be anybody. And for all we know, you know, there might be prisons with, we only saw a prison with men in it, but there may be prisons with women, you know, and we could go down the line, different species or whatever. But the point is that he realizes now that, you know, he can't kind of pretend it didn't happen. And that's what he wants to do. He wanted to get the money, pick up his mom, go someplace where no one would ever find them, and go anywhere in the whole galaxy.
And get away from it all, yeah.
Yeah, but he can't do that anymore. He cannot run anymore. He has to take a stand.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me see here. Thomas, he asked a question out here. He said, didn't Andor give his prison break friend the gun he stole and used to kill the corporate goons in the first episode? That's a good question.
Yeah, he probably gave him a few dollars, some weapons, other stuff that might help him. Yeah, he did hand him the gun, and the guy didn't have like a holster or a bag.
Yeah,
he didn't have a bag to put it in. I'm like, where's he gonna put that gun? I wondered about that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. V, like,
Go.
I mean, you see this. Do you think this is it? That this could be that turning point that he realizes now that he has to move forward?
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. It's almost like I think a lot of us are, you know, on the same page as he probably just wanted to move on. He has some money. He probably still feels that it's pointless to buck the system, that they just got, you know, really lucky that they were able to get out of there. And I'm sure he looks at it like, you know, somebody who got out of jail who was innocent the whole time. It's like you could go on a crusade against being wrongfully in prison, or you just use the rest of the time you got and just try to live your life and put it behind you. And I'm sure that's what he was thinking he was going to be able to do. But I think his, you know, for all intents and purposes, that was his mom. Passing, like, the Empire stole what little time he had with her away. Like, I'm sure he felt like he was going to go on a little quick vacation and go get her and, you know, go chill somewhere with her for whatever time she had left. And the Empire took that away by falsely imprisoning him. So now he has a chip on his shoulder, and, you know, he's pretty much gone through this whole show just like resourceful, intelligent, just amazing, but also, just leave me alone. I don't really give a shit about none of this. Fuck all this shit. I don't really care. I think that it's definitely a turning point, and I don't think it was a coincidence. He's looking out to the ocean, as pointed out. That's symbolic of bookending of how he ends his arc in the Star Wars universe. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of how does he help, because we know it's not like traditionally joining the rebellion, and he does it his own way, which is very a unique way of just maneuvering through whatever situation he's in, using his resourcefulness to get through it. So I definitely think that his last bit of time with his mom being stolen from her is not going to be just something he just lets slide. He's going to now actively try to make a difference, instead of just if it works out for what else he's already trying to do anyways, which has been the case so far.
Yeah. Mario. Now with this episode, now we got this episode down. We got one more episode coming, which is the season finale. What is are you anticipating the next one? Did this one, did these last two episodes kind of drive it a bit home, like just put that back in you a tad bit, like that there's hope for this that you are on board with it?
I don't want to say 100% that's the case, but I am. I am. I am curious, to see how it's going to end.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end up seeing him back over there on Ferrix, and I think it's just going to go down. He's not going to be able to, to miss the chance to, go back over there and check up on everybody and everything, even though they tell him to stay away. But yeah, it's definitely going to go down. I mean, there's some stuff on the trailer I think we still haven't seen yet.
Yeah, there's a lot on the trailer we haven't actually seen yet. So that's what I'm saying. It's a lot that's going to go down this next episode, and I can't wait to see. But all in all, like I said, these last two episodes, man, crazy, like literally crazy.
We're good.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the build up, and I think that, like I said, the slow crawl for me, which a lot of people, we're sort of concerned about. For me, I think it was nicely done. It was needed. Like, we needed to see this crawl. Like, we needed to see this happening because of the simple fact that, again, the development for us to really draw and have to be invested in these relationships, these characters. I mean, that's the only way to understand it. Especially the pieces of the puzzles are there and they're putting it together, and we'll see it. We just have to be patient with it. But I'm definitely loving it. I can't wait for next week. Yeah, man, exciting, very exciting. I know we ran over 2 hours and 22 minutes into the show, but we had to go cover 2 episodes. We'd have probably been done, but I forgot all about the last episode again. But it is what it is. CC, did you have any prints this week, or you want to do them next week?
There's only like 3 prints that released. I think it was last week, and they're prequel prints. We could talk about them next week.
All right.
Or next show.
We can definitely. Yeah, we'll do them next show. Definitely. We'll do them next show. But yeah, so excited about it. Thank you guys for basically being here, and thank you guys out there for hanging with us all night as we talked about these 2 episodes. It was incredible. It was crazy. Can't wait till next week. What's going on, Vinny? What's going on with you in the room, bro? What's going on, man?
Gearing up for Thanksgiving. I put in the work cooking, so the oven's going.
Nah, but man, what you got going on, bro?
I got I got like this past week was crazy, so I'm looking forward to it being a little bit more chill leading up to Thanksgiving, and looking forward to Andor finale. Comic book talk with friends on Monday to discuss some comic books, and then whenever we resume to talk about the Andor finale, I'm really excited about that. It's I've seen shows come and go where it's like, man, how are they gonna fit in, or how are they gonna drop the ball, or like I feel like oddly confident that we'll be okay for finale for this show, and that's a weird feeling to have because usually I'm nervous. So I'm excited for the finale with high expectations, and just looking to get some more art done up over the break coming up, and just have some more stuff on the ways. Probably throw in some Star Wars stuff. I know there's something from this show I got to do. I might do some TIE fighter scenes from the show or something like that coming up soon. So look for more art on the way. If you get Christmas is around the corner, Black Friday is coming around the corner. So when you want to get any prints for your family or friends, head over to my IG at Vince Dunn Art, and my store's there, and feel free to fill up your cart.
Feel free to peruse.
Grab what you need, and take care of your loved ones. Adorn their walls.
We're gonna get some Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. I
Thanksgiving.
cannot wait. Wait till I get off tonight. It's gonna be memed all over Facebook. I cannot wait. It's gonna be fun.
There's no escape.
No escaping it at all. It was none. It was on the frontal lobe. I've been waiting for it. Straight up. While I was closing this show, I was like, I am not going to sleep before I put that shit up. So I cannot wait. But anyway, again, Vincent Dunn Art. You can get the link to his store on his page. Definitely get some great pieces, man. Thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure.
El Profesoro, man, what's going on, man? What you got going on with your channel, bro?
Nah, man, thanks for hosting this week, man. Tomorrow night we got LWO coming through at 7:30 Pacific time, so that's always a blast. We got a lot to talk about, man, in terms of 6th scale. A couple statues that dropped as well, so that's gonna be some fun discussions.
Yeah.
Saturday, Tales of the Dark Side over there with Anthony, with Mafia over there. Well, how do you say it? 6th scale Mafia or something like that?
What do you
Mafia. Yeah, so him, I think Anthony, hopefully Jay will come through you, man. So we'll just come by shoot the shit. It's gonna be a lot to talk about. And other than that, man, freaking Usby found me a Disneyland reservation, which was impossible for tomorrow because he really wants me to go.
Wow.
I went ahead and booked it, so most likely will cancel, but we'll see what happens.
How did he find that?
I don't know, man. He kept bugging me. We're over here doing the show, and he's like, dude, get on right now. There's a reservation.
And you found it.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Don't cancel.
I don't know if I have time to go CC. We'll see what happens.
You gotta go, bro.
Can I didn't want to say anything or make a big deal, but can you please go so I can live vicariously through you? Because
what do you need?
My birthday.
Oh, really?
Tomorrow's your birthday.
Photos, it'll almost be like I'm there, as it's like.
Oh my god!
Happy early birthday.
So tomorrow's your birthday?
Yes, I have the same birthday as Mickey Mouse and Alan Moore for those comic book fans.
Oh man,
that's two sides of a coin right there.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So what time is it? I don't know what time it is.
I think it's your birthday here.
It's your birthday here.
Happy
birthday. Everybody,
birthday, CC.
It is CC's birthday here on the East Coast. Yep. It is CC's birthday. Happy birthday. That's another meme I got to put up when I get off of here. So definitely happy birthday to CC. Everybody out there, please, if you are out there in the chat, send CC a happy birthday. No pics.
And tell Mario to go to Disneyland.
And tell Mario to go to Disneyland.
Mario, the pressure now. All right. I'll give you some.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Huh?
You have to wish Mickey happy birthday. It's also his birthday.
Oh yeah, but you're
little
the
fucking
party
mouse
though, man.
every year.
Mickey Mouse. So CC and Mickey Mouse share the same birthday.
Look at that. That means you're gonna be busy tomorrow.
I'm a little younger, but
wow, that's dope. But happy birthday, CC. Definitely, because it is now, so we can actually say it. So yeah. Speaking of which, CC, what do you have going on? What you have coming up?
Birthday, she just told you.
Yeah. Please, you're not listening. So we are going to be watching the season finale live on either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, depending on how you look at it. And if anyone here, any of my cohorts here would like to join us, just let me know. I'll drop you a link, no problem. It's been a fun time. I don't know how long the episode is going to be. But we typically just stay on, watch it together. We'll talk about it while we're watching it, and then we'll stay on for a little bit afterwards to chat about like our immediate response to the episode. And then I want to say that next Friday, well, with Thanksgiving being on Thursday, I don't know if we're moving group therapy, but normally we would have a group therapy this coming Friday. So we'll see. Stay tuned for that. If we don't have it, then it's been postponed because of the holiday. But yeah, that's all I've got.
Definitely. Well, thank you for being here as always. Everybody, CC3PO Rogue 16 on YouTube and IG. So definitely make sure that you tune in as always. Take us home. What you got going on your channel?
Guys, you can always check me out on my channel, Positive Fandom, on Sundays at 10:30 a.m., where I have my Sunday brunch show where we do all the parlay in the fandom. And if you're a creator, please do stop by and check it out on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find me on my show, Ladies of the PGS. So also check that out. Sometimes you can find me here on the 1/6 Scale Man Network, either on Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. You can also find me streaming with Lorena Creole on her channel, and on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on Twitch, we have our show Toxic Male Appreciation. On Fridays at 12, you can find me on Midnight's Edge in the morning. And of course, you can find me on the PGS with Lael and Robert on our show, Midnight Musings.
Yeah, that means tomorrow we will be on. It's going to be cold as hell down here, but we'll still troop it out. We'll figure it out. But anyways, thank you for being here. As always, if you haven't followed, get on there right now. Great content as always. What's going on with me? Nothing. Tomorrow, actually, we have collectors. No. Figure Flex Friday. Tomorrow night, definitely inspired by El Profesoro. And then we have Collectors Lounge International on Sunday. Comic Book Talk with Friends on Monday. Say What Wednesday. Now, are we doing? That's the thing, because next week is Thanksgiving. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Can we figure it out? I mean, I think all of us. Is everybody available on Thursday, like earlier during the day?
It'll be tough on Thursday. Why don't we?
Really
What if we did it like Wednesday or Friday or Friday?
We could probably do it Friday night. Wednesday, say what?
Or Wednesday, because
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We'll see. Because it's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Definitely, we'll talk about it. But anyway, yeah, that's it. So you guys, thank you for being here with us, man. As always, it's been a pleasure. It's been fun. I am tired. It is time to get some sleep. I know you guys are tired, but you hung in with us pretty much all night. And make sure you hit that like button on the way out. But again, peace and love to everybody. Stay functional, but as always, stay uncivilized all day, every day. Let's go. We are out. Peace.
So uncivilized.